I got a lot of junk
It
here.
happens.
Yeah. I know I can't spell.
No, you didn't spell anything wrong, but you didn't. Wendy was like. Non-agenda items?
Oh, yes, whenever it's public.
Just public comment on non-agenda items.
Thank you.
You wanna?
Madam Mayor, it is 6:04 and we are live.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well,
Excuse me.
Oh.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday, May 5th regular City Commission meeting of Lake Worth Beach, Florida. May I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Betty Resch,
Here.
Vice Mayor Mimi May,
Present.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga,
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy.
Here,
I do not see, oh,
and now you do.
He's walking in.
Commissioner Anthony Segrich.
Boy, you just made it. You just made it.
That's tardy in my class.
Okay. She's very strict. You gotta watch her. She's cute. She's cute, but she's strict. Okay, so the invocation or moment of silence will be led by Mr. McVoy, and Ms. May will lead the pledge.
Thank you. Please stand. Bow your heads if you feel so inclined. John Donne, about 1600 AD. No man is an island entire of itself. Each is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less. Each man's death diminishes me, for I am involved in mankind. Therefore, send not to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. The view from the Artemis II reminds us of the image Earthrise, that we all live not just on Donne's same continent, but on this one same single small ball hurtling through the universe. Let us think of the clods. Each gas tank at over $4 a gallon washes away another clod. Each political rewriting of climate science endangers another clod, our city right here, and billions more around the globe. Each country report, now sanitized of human rights violations by our own State Department, diminishes us as a nation. Each rewritten national park display washes away yet another clod, faith in government honesty. Indeed, the bell tolls for all of us. Let us, as leaders of a multiply vulnerable community, be granted the wisdom and the strength to be neither silent nor complicit.
Thank you, Ms. May.
What you saying? What do you think? It's all liberty. Yeah.
Are there any additions, deletions, or reordering? Madam Clerk?
I don't have anything, Madam Mayor.
Okay, I see a light on for Ms. Malega.
I was just wondering if there's an appetite, we had talked about it at the pre-agenda meeting, of possibly doing the proclamations quickly first for those who are here and then moving on to presentations.
What
There's a-
say you all?
If there's an appetite for that.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 present, 6 proclamations. Well, I don't know. Is that what?
I think that we talked a little bit about moving presentation C and E to the end of the presentations. I would be up to do that.
Well, E is off.
Not according
off.
to the one I have.
No, you have a different, I'm sorry, I'm on the old one.
I have-
The old E is gone.
I have
circuit on mine.
as E.
Yes,
Is that correct?
it was previously CRA update. That's why
Okay,
I said that.
Okay,
My apologies.
so I would motion to move the electric bike presentation and the circuit presentation to the end so that,
Of everything?
no, to the end of the presentation section
We
So
might,
after K.
after K, because then if we have questions or anything or a little bit of a discussion for that, we could do that and other people wouldn't have to wait for that.
So do the proclamations first.
Do it everything in order except we'll move C and E to after K.
which is different
And-
than what Ms.
That's
Millett
not
is
what I'm
asking
saying.
for.
Because
She's
the
at-
presentation of audit of financials.
It's
I
gonna
think
take some while,
It's gonna
right?
take a while. I was trying to move,
The proclamation.
basically make EA and then work backwards.
Oh, I'm okay with that.
Okay, okay. So we're gonna make, so Madam Clerk, the proclamations
Hey.
F, the proclamations F through K are gonna be held first,
Okay, so we're reordering. The proclamations will be first.
right?
Let's just leave them numbered how they are.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back to A.
So A,
Correct.
B,
So we'll
I
start with
think-
F.
I think we should do, I think we should do,
C, and E,
E through K, E or F through K, the
right?
proclamations,
Yeah.
then Mary,
Okay,
then the presentation.
Yeah, I was lumping Mary
Okay.
in there. Sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
My
All
bad.
right, so D, so we're gonna go F, G, H, I, J, K, D.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay,
It's complicated enough.
please. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Yeah, yeah.
Do I have a motion by Ms. Malega, second by Ms. May?
Yep.
All in favor?
I,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry to complicate things.
No, 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 that's fine. Okay, so first up, we have our proclamations. And this is a proclamation declaring May 18th through the 25th as National Beach Safety Week. Now, I like to share the proclamation so that I'm not just the only one talking up here. So, Mr. Thegridge, can I give that to you since you are a diver and a swimmer and a boater? Shark attack survivor? Thank you.
Sure. City of Lake Worth Beach Proclamation. Whereas the beautiful coastal and inland beaches of Lake Worth Beach represent a world-renowned recreational resource. And whereas City of Lake Worth Beach residents and visitors alike are drawn to these beaches by the millions each year for water and beach activities. And whereas for reasons of public safety, an annual reminder of the joys and hazards associated with the aquatic environment are appropriate at the commencement of the busy summer beach season. And whereas this 2026 National Beach Safety Week focuses on water safety, rip current education, and honoring lifeguards. And whereas City of Lake Worth Beach residents and visitors alike must remember, learn to swim, swim near a lifeguard, swim with a buddy, check with lifeguards, use sunscreen and drink water, obey posted signs and flags, keep the beach and water clean, learn rip current safety, enter water feet first, and wear a life jacket. Now, therefore, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in her, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim May 18th to 25th, 2026 as National Beach Safety Week. In witness whereof, Betty hereto have under to set her hand and cause the seal of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, to be affixed this 5th day of May, 2026.
You guys rock. Picture?
That-
We're gonna be up and down a lot tonight.
That
Yes.
long list forgot to thank your lifeguard.
and they're hiring. They are hiring. So if there's anybody out there feeling the need to save the folks at the beach, we are hiring lifeguards.
And it's an amazing lifeguard team that we have. Proclamation. National Public Works Week. Where's our Public Works folks here tonight? That's it? You're it? They're busy. But since 1960, American Public Works Association has sponsored National Public Works Week during the third week of May. And whereas the theme for the 2026 celebration is Rooted in Service, Powered by Community, which highlights the essential contributions often made behind the scenes that public works professionals make to infrastructure and community well-being. And whereas the quality, safety, and efficiency of these faculties, as well as their planning, design, and construction, depend vitally on the efforts of and the skills of public works personnel. Excuse me. Coffee. And whereas public works professionals enhance the quality of life by providing service infrastructure on areas such as transportation, water, wastewater, and stormwater treatment, public buildings and spaces, parks and greenways, emergency management and first response, solid waste management, right-of-way administration. It is they who make our communities dynamic places in which to live and work. And that didn't even mention keeping up the parks and everything else that you'll do. And whereas the efficiency of the skilled and dedicated personnel who comprise public works departments is substantially influenced by the attitude of the citizenry and by their understanding of the importance of the work such personnel perform. Public works are ever present, working in the background to improve the quality of life for us all. And whereas public works contribute to promoting and enhancing our quality of life, regardless of where in the world we reside, public works professionals provide essential services that lead to healthier, happier, and more vibrant communities. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim May 17th through the 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week. In witness whereof I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Lake Worth Beach to be affixed this 5th day of May, 2026. And I hope that everyone listening and everyone here understands and appreciates the work that our city public works department does every day. Thank you.
I will say we had a good amount of people coming, but when we looked at where we are on the agenda, since we have a good amount of them that start between 5 and 6:30 in the morning, we thought it might be like an 8 or 8:30 type thing. So I told them, don't worry about it. But I do want to accept this on behalf of them, though, that we do have some really hardworking people in this department. So thank you very much.
I did not mention the cemetery picture. Why not? Up next is proclamation declaring May 2026 as Historic Preservation Month.
Whereas the City of Lake Worth Beach celebrates Historic Preservation Month, highlighting its commitment to preserving local history and unique architecture, and that serve as visible reminders of the city's vibrant heritage. And whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth and sustainable development while also revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character. And whereas cities and neighborhoods are never static, and historic preservation takes a holistic approach, considering the built environment, historical integrity, character, and usefulness while allowing for compatible new development. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals who help to preserve the tangible aspects of our built environment. And whereas the City of Lake Worth Beach continues to demonstrate its commitment to preserving our past while planning for an economically, ecologically, and culturally sustainable and resilient future. Now therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in her and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim May 2022 as National Historic Preservation Month and Lake Worth Beach Historic Preservation Month. There's a seal and all that stuff.
Do we have any historical board members in the room? I don't see anybody.
No step. Okay, next one up is Mimi is going to read Mental Health Awareness Month.
All righty.
Whole packed room for that.
We do. Who's here for Mental Health Awareness Month? All right, we've got a bunch
And
of
we
people.
wore our green.
We were our
At the
green.
best we could do.
Mine
It's
are
the greenest thing I own.
mine are pants because that's all I had that was green. Okay, so Mental Health America founded Mental Health Awareness Month in 1949 and has led the effort every May to promote mental health mental wellness nationwide. This year's theme, More Good Days Together, encourages us all to reflect on what a good day looks like, both for ourselves and for our communities. Together, we can use that insight to connect people to the right support at the right time and shape advocacy, education, and community engagement to make more good days possible for all. And whereas community understanding and available supports and services can greatly impact a person's ability to handle their stress and struggles and move forward. And whereas promoting mental health and wellness, there are a lot of typos in this. Promoting mental health and wellness leads to higher overall yeah, whoever's getting this is going to have to get a second version because this is not right. Lead to overall productivity, better educational outcomes, lower crime rates, stronger economies, lower healthcare costs, improved family life, improved quality of life, and increased lifespan. And whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, faith-based organization, nonprofit agency, and citizen shares accountability for the community's mental health needs and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. And whereas the City of Lake Worth Beach recognizes the impact of awareness and education, access to services, and the acceptance of the importance of mental health and well-being to a person's overall success, and supports the implementation of trauma-informed approaches throughout the systems of care. Now, therefore, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by the virtue of the authority vested in her and on the behalf of the City Commission, does hereby proclaim May 2026 as Mental Health Awareness and Trauma-Informed Care Month. In witness whereof, she has hereto set her hand and caused the seal of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, to be affixed this 5th day of May 2026.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll do a picture and then we'll get it fixed.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Picture. No whiteout.
Yeah.
Okay, item J, proclamation declaring May 2026 as Haitian Heritage Month, and we do have some dignitaries in the room to accept this. And I'm very proud to read this one. Thank you, Madam Mayor, because this may be unfortunately, thanks to the legislation the last year that we can actually read this up here. So thank you again. And I think this is something important that we should continue doing in the city of Lake Worth Beach.
And you've been very active in the Haitian community.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. It's my family. Ready? Whereas May is recognized as Haitian Heritage Month in the United States, celebrating the rich culture, history, and contributions of the Haitian community, and has historical and cultural traditions that are honored by Haitians around the world. And whereas May is the month in which a historic pact signed by Black and biracial officers occurred, which led to the creation of the Haitian flag on May 18th, 1803, and Haiti's independence on January 1st, 1804, when Haiti became the first Black independent country in the world. And whereas the Haitian Revolution was the forerunner of modern anti-colonial movements throughout the Third World. And whereas Haiti celebrates May 1st as Labor and Agricultural Day, a day when workers, peasants, and artisans celebrate together. And whereas Haitians honor their mothers on the last Sunday in May by wearing red flowers if their mothers are still alive, and white or purple flowers if their mothers have passed. And whereas many religious celebrations in Haiti occurred during the month of May, known by Haitian Catholics as the month of Mary, the mother of Jesus. And whereas the Haitian community contributes greatly to the rich history, culture, and diversity of the city of Lake Worth Beach. And whereas the Haitian community of Lake Worth Beach has established and distinguished itself through the efforts of many community organizations, businesses, and community participation. And whereas the city of Lake Worth Beach and the Haitian community share in the belief that the contributions and participation of all people from all cultures and backgrounds is what makes Lake Worth Beach a great city. Now, therefore, she, Betty Rush, the mayor of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by the virtue of the authority vested in her and on behalf of the city commission, do hereby proclaim May 2026 as Haitian Heritage Month, in witness whereof she is hereon set her hand and caused the seal of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, to be affixed this 5th day of May 2026. Miss Trudy and anybody else who wants to come up?
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like in front of us.
Oh, that was quick. Mhm.
Thank you, ladies and Reverend. The Reverend should stay and listen. No, but remember when I went to church and he said it wasn't going to be that long? It could be the same thing here. His church is awesome.
I want to wait just a second, let Shayla come up. Shayla's taking the proclamation, but do we want her here when we read this?
I think so.
I thought so. So we're gonna
Take a little
take a little,
talk amongst
Right.
ourselves.
I did that. Because since you skipped it.
you did mental
No, I
health.
did not. Oh, I did mental health. Oh, my God.
health. Yep, there.
It's the stress. And you did that one.
Remember the
Yep,
road,
yep.
the road thing?
The what?
Things you roll the taco. Okay. Mhm.
Here she comes. Come on, Shayla. There she is. She's a busy woman. You know, it's funny because the staff of this city, we have almost 400 staff, something like that. And for the most part, the work that they do is invisible. It's behind desks. It's for the finance. It's making sure the numbers add. I mean, and when you become an elected official and you get a chance to see a little bit more of it, you realize how much it's like a duck. You know, the duck goes and underneath it's paddling fast. So I love it when we get a chance to honor and appreciate, like we just did with Public Works. I would love everybody to understand the hard work that they do for our city, and they all have the best wishes of the city under sometimes very trying circumstances and lots of criticism. So thank you in general to all of our employees. But specifically, whereas the International Institute for Municipal Clerks initiated Municipal Clerks Week in 1969, which was endorsed by all its members in the United States, Canada, and 15 countries as a time of celebration and reflection on the importance of the clerk's office. And boy, are they important. In 1984, President Reagan signed a proclamation officially declaring the first week of May as Municipal Clerks Week. And whereas the Florida Association of City Clerks was established in 1972 to promote and develop the educational and professional status of Florida city clerks and works in conjunction with the IIMC, the International Municipal Clerks, to provide certified municipal clerk and master municipal clerk certification for city clerks. And whereas this organization strives to help increase the efficiency of city clerks' functions, increase the cooperation and assistance with city administrators, gather and disseminate information to improve procedures, and improve the efficiency of the administration of municipal government. And whereas the FACC currently has 663 members in 7 districts throughout the state and is proud to have one of the largest certification programs in the country with 236 certified municipal clerks and 148 master municipal clerks among its members. Therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim May 3rd through the 9th, 2026 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida to be affixed this 5th day of May, 2026. And our own clerk signs this as well. We have phenomenal clerks. Would you come up and just give what certifications you have, how amazing you all are, both of you?
But I don't know how to turn on a mic.
Well, it's okay.
So both Shayla and I have our CMCs, our certified municipal clerks, and our master municipal clerks. Only 10% of the clerks in the entire world have their MMCs. And for the city to have both the deputy city clerk and the city clerk having their master municipal clerks is a big deal. And it takes years and years of work to attain those certifications.
People do not understand how important the city clerk is. It's the underpinning of everything that we do. That if there's a question that needs to be answered, hey, clerk, what happened then? You know, when did we do that? So I want to thank you. Do we want a picture? Why not?
Sure.
I just want to say at the Florida League of Cities and Palm Beach
yeah.
County League of Cities, our clerk's office is very highly regarded because of the clerks that are involved with some of the
Oh, yeah.
places that I visit anyway. And some of the spaces that I'm in, and they speak very highly of our clerk's office and the hard work that you guys do. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm actually president of the Palm Beach Clerks. I'm president currently of the Palm Beach County Municipal Clerks Association, and Shayla is vice president.
Moving right along. Yes, here's a really exciting event for us that we have been looking forward to.
Yes.
I'm going to read a little something. Everyone in town knows Mary Lindsay. But not everyone knows about her childhood in New York, her brothers, her Catholic school education, her career at the fashion industry in New York City, her husband, or her love of twinkling lights. But they do know she loves Lake Worth. Mary has served our town well as a tireless volunteer and city cheerleader. She worked hard to champion the neighborhoods of Lake Worth Beach through the NAPC. People fondly remember evenings on the avenue where Mary would greet residents and encourage them to get involved in their neighborhood associations. Mary's input gave the NAPC a strong start, which continues today in the variety of neighborhood events. Since 2015, Mary has focused her Little Free Library project, which has brought more than 100 little libraries to our town, which have circulated more than 1 million books. Right? I think we can have an applause for that. Her goal of having a little free library in walking distance of every resident has been realized. Her project even gained our town international prominence when Todd Bowl, who was the founder of the worldwide Little Free Library Project, visited Lake Worth Beach in 2018 to see for himself the Lake Worth Beach project in action. He presented Mary with the Master Community Builder Award. The award was created especially for our project, for Mary's project. Here's a part of what Todd Bowl said about Lake Worth Beach, and today his words are prophetic. Mary is stepping aside right now, and she's created a legacy. So as Mary steps aside to give her project back to the community, it will take all of us working together as a village to continue the legacy left by Mary Lindsay here in Lake Worth Beach. I was up in Melbourne Beach this week, and I was reading a book, and I finished the book, and guess where I went? I went to the app, and I found a little free library, and I said, "Bless you, Mary Lindsay." So we have a little token of our appreciation. Let's go down. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't mind. The most dangerous place in Lake Worth is in between me and a microphone. I've been doing this, it was 10 years ago, 11 years ago that we started this. And it's time to pass it on to younger, stronger, fresh minds to carry to the next decade and hopefully after that. So we have begun Lake Worth Little Free Libraries 2.0. And this is just wonderful. The transition should be complete in about 6 months. But yeah, so where's my partner in all things literate? Cindy and I have done all of this together always. And Cindy knows I never accept kudos or accolades for the Little Free Libraries personally, because from the very beginning, this has been a community effort. with everybody involved, from city managers, all the commissioners that have ever held one of those seats in the last 11 years, and hundreds and hundreds of volunteers who have given their time and their treasure to make this project a huge success. We are at the moment up to 1.2 million, and it continues. So thank you. We are looking at the moment. We need some new stewards. We need some little free libraries in some new neighborhoods. So, you know, raise your hand. Everybody knows where to find me, and we'll talk. Thank you, Betty. This is so beautiful. Melissa, oh, you.
And I just want to say, as a comment on Mary's love, being beloved by the city, the people are already coming up. She's already got a support. I see a couple of her support people in the audience tonight. And yes, I'm looking at her. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. So come forward if you have any time. It's an amazing project, and it's really Mary's legacy is going to carry on. Thank you.
Yeah. I have not missed this opportunity to say I learned about all of the departments in the city and how they all work and how wonderful they are 20 years ago at the Lake Worth Municipal Institute. And I would love to see that come back.
It's coming back. It's like you set this up, Mr. It's going to be starting June or July. It's already in the works. The staff is working on it. It's going to be limited to 25 or 30 people. We did it 10 years ago. It's an amazing experience. Every week you go to a different department and have a little snack. And I'm so glad you said that, Mary, because we're doing it again.
Madam Mayor, we have a formal request to go to item A for finance. Because we have somebody from Orlando who's in the audience.
Well, we were on A anyway.
Okay. And Mr. Woods is a very patient man. Okay. Presentation of the audited financial statements as of September 30th, 2025. Good evening.
Good evening.
Just really introduce yourself so we can all hear
Yes.
and who you're from.
My name is Christine Olran. I'm the audit partner from Carrigs in Ingram that oversaw your financial statement audit for fiscal year 2025. Yeah. That better? I'll lean more. Okay. It's okay. Okay. So this is the first year our firm did the audit for the town, city of Lake Worth Beach. So Yannick's going to pull up the financial statements. I'm just going to give you kind of an overview of the highlights. I'm not going to go through all 200 plus pages of your financials. Yeah. 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 So you do have a clean, unmodified opinion. One thing, so you know that it changed, there was an accounting standard change this year. It was GASB 101. It related to your compensated absences. So there's an increase in the liability for compensated absences. So that's your vacation and sick time off that you have to accrue. GASB, in their infinite wisdom, decided that instead of just being the time you would pay someone when they terminate, you also now need to accrue sick time that people will use before they leave.
And what is this? You mentioned an
Mhm.
acronym.
GASB, oh, sorry, the Government Accounting Standards Board.
Thanks.
So they make all of the rules that you have to follow when making your financial statements. So you had to add about 19% of what people had in their bank to the liability due to the new standard. So Yannick had the fun of going back and trying to determine based on historics of how much people had used, and it was approximately 19%. So it increased your liability overall for the city about $450,000. So it's not a change in how your policy or how much time people will actually get off. I mean, basically you would pay for that increased estimate for their normal salaries, but the board decided to have you record the liability. So yeah, the liabilities went up, but you're not actually probably going to spend any more cash than you would before.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think, I don't agree with it, but I don't get to make the rules. So, so on page, if you want to go to page 36, this is the fund level on page 36. So that is the level that you budget on for your activity. So this goes through, there you go, by fund. So general fund is your main operating fund. This only has 1 year presentation because that's what you're required. But if we were to compare this to the prior year, your total revenues in your general fund increased $5 million compared to the year before. 1.5 million of that was property taxes and 2.3 million of that was due to charges for services. So it's administrative charges to other funds for the services the general fund's providing to them. Your expenses declined 4.3 million. That's really because the funds that you paid the county for the sheriff services was paid out of the ARPA fund this year. So in order to make sure you used all the funds before they end up expiring, the 8 million is basically over 2 columns this year. So really, if the general fund is still paid, that would have been a $3.5 million increase. Most of that was due to increased salaries, benefits, and hiring of new employees. So it does end in a positive $5 million increase to your fund balance. If you're trying to determine, are we financially sound? Are we solvent? How are we doing? You usually want to have at least 3 months worth of expenses in your unassigned fund balance, and you're at 7. So you're above the minimum of what you want to be. No, you're, yeah. At least, well, we'll see what happens in Tallahassee, but as of right now, you're okay. Yeah.
Isn't that funny how often that Tallahassee word comes?
Yeah. There's some scary potential legislation that may not make you so well, everybody as financially sound. The beach fund, which is the second column, your revenue was down 175,000 due to fewer parking tickets this year. Your expenditures were up 172,000, again, due to raises and salaries. So you had a use of the fund balance of 700,000 this year. Your ARPA fund, the revenue is up because you utilize more of it this year. So since it's just for the grant fund, you earn the revenue as you spend it. So you had an increase of $9 million because you used it for the sheriff's contract this year. So at the end of the year, you had your end of your fiscal year. So as of September of 25, you had 3 million left to spend by this coming December.
For the ARPA.
Mm-hmm.
We still have 3 million.
Yeah, probably not today
Not
because
today.
it's been 6. Yeah, this was back in September. Yeah. And then your discretionary sales tax fund was very consistent with the prior year. So your fund balance went up 1.3 million this year. The last column before the total is an aggregate of all your non-major funds. So you have special revenue funds, a debt service fund, and capital projects funds that all roll up into there. Overall, the revenues increased about $900,000. Most of that was due to your new electric utility storm fund. So that was the $5 fee per customer. In your expenses, they went up about $2 million due to new road and sidewalk projects. So all of your capital projects get expensed in your governmental funds. And then if you're looking at the bottom, there's a positive 12 million change in fund balance for that. Most of that is from the transfers in to the capital projects funds. So it counts as an increase in the fund balance. So you have upcoming projects and they've been transferred over for the future years. Most of it's for the new capital recovery projects fund that was created. And then page 42 is your enterprise funds. These are funds that are supposed to be self-funding. So the revenue should cover all of your expenses. All of them had positive changes at the end of the year, so they were covering their expenses. In your electric fund, your revenues were up 8% due to a rate increase. Your operating expenditures were up 2.4 million. Again, a lot of salaries. And then you also purchased power from other entities as well. So it ends with an $8 million increase in net position at the end of the year. The water fund was up 1.6 million for revenues. Again, you had a rate increase. Your operating expenses were up 1.1 million. There were a lot of small increases, insurance, salaries, maintenance expenses, but it still ended up with a positive 749,000 for the end of the year. Local sewer was up 1.2 million for revenue. Again, you had a rate increase. Your expenses were down $1 million. That was because the prior year you had a payout from your catastrophic fund and you didn't have to have that payout this year. So your regular operating expenses were consistent. So it has a $2.5 million increase to net position at the end of the year. Your regional sewer, the revenue was down $1 million because you had less projects being done by Palm Beach County. So then you had less charges. You had to charge the participants to cover those projects. And then the expenses were much lower because in the prior year you had a water main break, which was very expensive to repair. And you did not have that again this year. So this year it has an increase of $4 million compared to the prior year you had a use of your net position of $3 million. So it's going back and refunded where you were 2 years ago. And then your non-major enterprise funds, you have an increase in your revenue of 1.2 million due to stormwater rate increase. And so in total, those went up 2.4 million to the end for your net position. And then your internal service, which is the way right column, that is all of the funds that you're charging for other services. So you have an increase in the charges because property insurance never goes down. So you had to charge all the other funds more. And so you have a increase of 4.5 million in that fund, which was 1.3 million less than the prior year. So that's this kind of the summary of the activity. And then I was going to jump way to the back on page 202. This is a summary of kind of, yeah. This is kind of the summary of the findings. So we have to do a financial statement audit and a single audit. So the financial statement audit is basically how do the financials look? Do we find anything in there? And the single audit relates to your grants, including grants at the CRA. Even though they're discretely presented component unit, they still are included as part of the city's single audit for the grants. So for findings for financial statements, we had 3. 1 was a material weakness and 2 were significant deficiencies. If you want to scroll to the next page. Yeah, there we go. So the first one relates to the beach fund. For revenue recognition, there was 1 lease. Since you are the lessor, you have to include the receivable and a deferred inflow for the leases and then record the revenue. So there was 1 lease that wasn't recorded. The dollar amount was material, so that's why it's a material weakness, but it's not a systemic problem. So it's just 1 lease out of the many leases. Yeah.
That's incorrect.
Yes. The next one was related to the census data. We don't audit and opine on the pension plans themselves, but the liability for the pension is in the city's financial statements. So we still opine on that number. So we test the inputs that were sent to the actuary, because then the actuary comes up with their estimate. So we want to make sure they have correct information. We found discrepancies between what was in payroll and HR files and what the actuary received. So we recommend having a review of that information before it's sent over. None of it was like, nobody was being paid double or their dates were way off, but there was differences. So just having that review before it's sent over, just so it's cleaner and the actuary has better information. And then the third one for financials was for your building permit rates. When the rates were updated, the actual rate, like what you're getting charged for each, the percentages were correctly updated, but one of the ranges changed. So in the software, you're charged, X amount if the value is this. And then the next tier, it's this percentage times this. So one of the ranges used to stop 1 million, but it went up to 1.5 million. And then in the software, it was still stopping at 1 million. So the people between 1 million and 1.5, it wasn't calculating right. other way.
Oh.
So it's been corrected. They've told the software company to change, but yeah, so it wasn't anything that anyone was putting in wrong, but the software wasn't set up properly. Yeah,
It was a glitch.
correct. Yeah. So that's what we had for financial statements. Then for the single audit, for the grants, we have to check compliance and controls. So for every compliance item we have to test, there should also be a control in place to make sure it's done properly. So for your ARPA grant, you have to send a report off to the Treasury. The report was perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with it. There just wasn't a review of the report documented before it was sent off. So you just need someone else other than the preparer to document that they reviewed it before they sent it. And then for the next one, this one's kind of unique. The CRA used ARPA funds to purchase land, and there's kind of an obscure federal regulation that you're not going to find in the grant funds. But if you buy land, you're supposed to put in writing to the seller and tell them you're not using eminent domain, you're not taking it over, it's not contingent on other buyers agreeing to it. You only had one lot. There was obviously not another seller. And it's not a time frame, like you don't do it with XYZ, it expires. So you did all the things you're supposed to do. It just wasn't documented in writing that you weren't doing that. So then it just needs to be in writing to a potential seller. This is only when you use grant funds to buy land.
And the CRA has been made aware of that.
Yes. And then down in the management letter, we had one improvement area. We went and counted the inventory. Yeah, right there. Wait, scroll up a little more. There you go.
10.
The inventory, the electric utility. So they were in the process of changing from a like once a year count of inventory to a perpetual inventory. So we just recommend that they have more clear procedures, because when you do perpetual, you want to make sure at least at one point during the year, you've counted all of the inventory. So just to have a process in place to make sure they've covered all the inventory before the end of the year.
And that's something the internal auditor was taking care of and brought forward to that department about 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
Was that exact conversation. So I'm glad to see that you followed through with it. And I'm sure that that department is staying on top of it. I know that there's nobody here right now, but I know that's something our internal auditor do as well.
Yes, if I may add, Madam Mayor, Yannick with Finance. We are working with the inventory department, with electric, to make sure that we resolve this issue, that it's clear.
Thank you very much.
So Yannick and his team were excellent to work with. He got us a trial balance in December. We had weekly calls of the status and how we went through. I know he was very, very much of we will be done in March, and we finished. He's very, very happy we were done on time, so he didn't have to file any extensions for his act work. Yeah.
Honestly, it's like the first time in
A long time.
15-20 years that we've ever been. So thank you,
On
Jan. Thank you,
time.
Finance Department. Thank you to, I mean, literally we made national news in 2015 for not being in compliance. So this is amazing that we're having this conversation, that we made the deadline.
And
Thank you.
again, the staff, we have this amazing staff. So thank you. Thank you very much. You're
Yeah.
going back to Orlando now?
No, I live in Melbourne, so I'm not as far, but yeah. But yeah. But
Thank
does
you.
anyone have any questions I can answer?
Anything else?
No.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Have a good trip back. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Next up is the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue update by Mr. Spiegelhalter.
Can I just say something before he begins real quick?
Yes.
So I got to do the fire ops. No. Chief, I got to
Yes,
do
ma'am.
fire ops 101.
last weekend.
Like, yeah, or
Yes.
2 weekends ago, I
2
think it
weekends,
was.
yes, ma'am.
First, I want to thank everybody who puts that on. That was fabulous. It was so cool.
Yeah.
And I just want to tell you how much I respect what you and all of the men and women in fire rescue do. It is incredible.
What-
And it was really fun to rappel down the building.
Oh, you went that far. That's good to hear. Most people pass on that.
Pass.
All right.
It's all in.
I'm all in.
That option. I got to put in a helicopter though, so.
Well, we like to invite all of you all the time, but the space limited. So,
It was amazing.
and I was supposed to be there. I had to run to Jacksonville. Some family situations with some
My
new
work,
grandbabies
so.
we're expecting, but we got it worked out. But thank
Good,
you.
good. It was absolutely fabulous. So I just wanted to thank you and everybody who put that together. I
Well,
appreciate
you're
that.
welcome. You're
And for
welcome.
my helmet. Really cool.
I spoke with John the other day and he sends his best regards.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Well, good evening. Craig Spiegelhalter, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, tonight's presentation is your semi-annual presentation. It's going to look at your annual report that Fire Rescue prepares, specifically, or it's tailored towards Lake Worth Beach. It's going to include some information in general on our annual report we submit to the public. So there is a lot of that information. You have copies in front of you. And we're just going to review just some bits and pieces of it tonight. Now, we've been having a little issue with the slideshow, so hopefully it's not gonna lag too much on us, but we'll move along. Page 4, if you want to look through your book, but it's up on the screen. Just a reminder, this is the geographical area that we serve. The yellow is the Lake Worth Beach city limits. Within those city limits, you have 2 fire stations, the one right next door here, 91 and 93. But I just want to point out the surrounding area around you, you have a total of 5 other fire stations readily accessible to come in and provide service to this area at any given time. And we're going to talk about that a little more in a couple slides forward. This information is based on your 2025 year. It doesn't include anything from 2026 yet. So for 2025, the graphic to the left of the screen there, total number of calls that shows a 5-year average. For 2025, we responded to 8,591 calls within the city limits of Lake Worth Beach. Up and down over the 5 years, but we consistently average over 8,500 calls. The graphic to the right shows your average response times. For 2025, we were at just about 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Now you have to remember there's 3 or 4 components to that response time, and that's from when the person calling for help calls into dispatch and the phone is actually picked up. That's when the time starts. It's usually on a good day, 35 to 40 seconds. That dispatcher has to make sense of what's going on, what their problem is, talk to somebody who is either excited or just not aware what's going on, speaking a whole different language. Ideally, we want it done under a minute, and then the crews are alerted. They have a turnout time, which we hold them to 1 minute, at least 1 minute during daytime hours. Over 2 minutes, under 2 minutes in the early morning, late night hours. Okay, and then from there, you're right at about around 2 minutes now. So we're looking at about 3 minutes and 30 seconds travel time on average. So we're right there at 5 minutes and 50 seconds, and as you can see over the 5 years, that's remained pretty consistent.
Are we still one of the busiest locations?
You are, yes. Going back to that first graphic, you could see, not to belittle our great city here, but the geographical area in that call volume is enormous compared to the size of the response zone that we cover. So 8,500 calls is a lot. Yes. Calls by situations dispatched. Again, 8,581 calls for 2025. 6,850 of those calls were medical or EMS related calls, 812 motor vehicle accidents, 404 alarms, which would include fire alarms, carbon monoxide alarms, medical alarms, 242 investigations or assists. This could be anything from somebody thought they saw smoke in the area, to somebody trapped in an elevator, to something as simple as somebody slipped out of their chair at home. We pick them up. They get home, they can't get up the stairs. We carry them up there. 158 fires, 46 MIH calls. That's our mobile integrated health. That's a division within fire rescue where we have social workers and paramedics that go out and visit patients who our staff recognizes that they need more help. And there is a parameter they follow. They make a submittal. they make more than 46 submittals a year. Those are 46 people that have agreed for us to come out and offer them help. And those could be, those 46 people we could come out to 4, 5, 6, 7 times a year to follow up on. 44 hazardous conditions. That could be anything from a propane or natural gas leak to a chemical spill to power lines down. 17 water-related incidents or rescues, primarily all that's up on the beach. Seven train accidents and 1 aircraft incident, which was a plane crash over on 12th Avenue South in Lake Osborne late in 2025. Again, this reflects back to your first slide. This is the primary resources assigned to your city. Station 91, for minimum staffing, it's 12 people a day, two rescue trucks, 1 fire engine, an EMS captain who is a standalone unit. They carry specialized EMS equipment, ventilators, monitors, drugs, blood, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Battalion chief who sees the daily staffing and daily operations, and then myself, the district chief. And then station 93, which is a standard complement throughout the county, 1 rescue truck, 1 engine with a minimum staffing of 6. Now, if you look at those resources outside of that, those are the cities or those are the stations that surround you. Again, it's your typical engine and rescue. Some of the uniqueness is station 35 down the street houses or we considered your aerial or your ladder truck. So they come to every fire call or any call that's needed. So they're right down the street. Station 37 down in Lantana. The difference there is we man 2 personal rescue watercrafts that are deployed at any time we need to into the water. In station 43, they have a brush truck, and a brush truck is a specialized unit that's meant to fight brush fires. Now, do we fight brush fires around here? The population or the geographical area has sort of built itself out, so no. But it is a very large piece of apparatus that sits very high. So if we get an event, say, of some heavy rain and we have immediate flooding, we could shuttle personnel through that high water and or residents or civilians back out. So it's a resource that's staged nearby.
ALS stands for.
Advanced life support. Almost every single unit is advanced life support, meaning we have at least 1 paramedic, cardiac monitor, drugs, advanced airway. But that's the trend now. It is everybody is a paramedic and firefighter certified. Your community risk reduction division. These are known to you as your fire investigators, your fire inspectors, your plan reviewers, your community or public education people, and your drowning prevention coalition. Now, these are on pages 36 and 38. I'm sorry, I haven't been following along. There they go. There they go. Yeah. Our public educators had put on 56 different community events with over 4,600 participants throughout the year 2025. Our inspectors had completed over 1,300 inspections, 329 construction inspections, and 283 plan review. So they are a busy group as well. And it's crazy how you would think this little city wouldn't generate something like that, but it does.
A busy little city.
Yes. Now, how are we doing? Yes, ma'am.
So I love the Yellow Dot program.
Okay.
I was a big advocate for it for a long time. Are you guys still utilizing that? Do you promote it?
We don't necessarily promote it. It's through our community education. They have those resources available if you were to ask, and we could try to get you those materials. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
It's a sticker that goes in the back of your vehicle with your information that tells EMS
Mhm.
your information's in the glove
In the
box.
glove box.
So if you're an asthmatic or if you have a heart pacemaker, and you put this information in your glove box, and EMS, if you can't respond, knows to go in there and find life-saving measures.
Yep.
And I'm a huge supporter of that program. I really-
Sort of mirrors the old pet sticker on the window. When we saw the sticker, we know there was a pet inside. So, yep. Or the vial of life, which goes in your refrigerator. We know to look in your refrigerator for your medication list. Okay, so how are we doing? Believe it or not, we do have a customer service coordinator with a staff. It's not a big staff. And we utilize an outside agency to, yes, still make the old fashioned phone calls. They call, on average, it's about 1.5% of your total transports, whether it's in the city or countywide for the total number of call volume. They ask those 8 simple questions, and the residents saying we are doing a 99.7% overall satisfaction rate. So we are happy with that. There we go. As we remember from the other slide, over 60 800 calls, EMS calls, which is about 80% of your call volume, and that's pretty much standard in any fire rescue agency. It's our largest call volume. But out of those 6,800 calls, we transported over 4,600 patients. Now, every patient is different. Some of them are very sick or ill, and when they meet certain criteria, we notify them or the appropriate hospital of an alert. This puts their staff on standby. It gets extra equipment ready. In that slide you're seeing, we transported 109 trauma alerts out of the city here. Those are people that were significantly injured that went to one of the 2 local trauma centers. 67 patients were in septic shock, or they had a severe infection where they were near death, so they were considered a sepsis alert. 75 victims or patients we saw were suffering the immediate signs of a stroke. Time is of the essence there to have certain procedures done. They were transported to a hospital from the city here, in 19 STEMI alerts. Now, STEMI is a fancy term for a myocardial infarction or a heart attack. The paramedics are witnessing this happening on a cardiac monitor due to EKG changes. Ideally, they need a cardiac cath. So the hospital is alerted and has that equipment ready for them.
Ms. May has a question and then Ms.
Yes.
Just, I mean, is that normal? That's a lot of calls. Like, is it a lack of primary care?
A lot of calls for what? The
In
alerts?
general, I mean, just 4,600 patients transported to the hospital.
It's a significant number.
Why?
It's what we do. It's our business. Yeah.
Is it a higher percentage here in Lake Worth Beach that's not what I meant, but is it a higher percentage here in Lake Worth Beach than in other places? And if so, what do you think because it sounds like a community health concern is what I'm concerned about.
I can't answer that question. I think we have to just realize what resources are available. You're not going to typically call an Uber or a Lyft, so people will utilize the system. I think a lot of people have trust in fire rescue, so they're not afraid to call for us. And typically we'll see people of various nationalities and economic situations that wait till they get very, very sick before they call for us. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about
Yes.
the primary care. It just sounds like, and then that's just a lot. And I think we heard about it the other day that we have a primary care bus at Lake Worth High School every week.
Mhm.
So we really need to start pushing that out so that we can be pushing primary care, because if they're waiting till they're in sepsis or
Yeah.
need to be transported to the hospital. I mean, I'm glad people are calling, obviously, but I mean, we need to do a better job as a community of taking care of the health of our people is what I'm hearing.
And in the job of fire rescue, a lot has advanced. One of the things that the EMS captains were carrying, but now we're on all of our rescue trucks, is we carry antibiotics. And we give that in certain situations of sepsis and those that may have an open fracture of an extremity or something. It's to get that stuff started early.
Wow.
So we are carrying it in the pre-hospital setting.
It's really good. Wow.
It's funny because you just brought up the slide that I was going to ask about, which was the blood transfusion, but we also have Caridad, which is going to Patrick's Arms of Hope. And those are resources as well. But I agree with you. Those numbers it's sad.
Yeah.
But with healthcare cuts the way they are, I'm sure that next year we're probably going to see that number go up even higher, unfortunately.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's very scary.
Couple more slides and then we're done. We talked about this the last update. In 2022, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue was the first to start carrying whole blood on certain types of units. Those were our EMS captains. Lake Worth Beach was one of the first EMS captains to carry that. Since that time, all 10 of our staff EMS captains now carry a combination of either whole blood or plasma. And we carry plasma because blood is sometimes hard to come by. But this particular unit here carries both blood and plasma. So if one is used over the other, at least they still have a stock on hand. It's a thing that's very difficult because it's a controlled environment. The unit has to be refrigerated, has to be monitored all the time. So, but it's a great thing we're doing. And now it's everywhere in that county. You could see along the central corridor and as far out west as Belle Glade. So they're out there. In addition, it's on on both our helicopters, but it's just the advances we are seeing. Here we go. What's new to fire rescue? Again, this should be reassuring to you. Fire rescue has always been able to handle any situation, you know, when somebody's trapped or we need to do something to rescue them. But Palm Beach Fire Rescue over the past 4 or 5 years has been working towards their USAR status. That's Urban Search and Rescue. This year we received a designation of a Type 3 team by the Florida Division of Emergency Management. How can you put that into perspective? If you think about the Surfside incident and when that building collapsed, those teams came from everywhere. And the closest team in this area was in Miami. So now we are another one of those teams. Yes, ma'am. We specialize in collapse rescue, rope rescue, trench rescue. We have a K-9 team. We have a staff of doctors and structural engineers that travel with the team. Also part of that team built into it is our Swift water capability. They just received the Type 1 certification, which is the highest on a national standard, so they could be deployed anywhere. They just did a news article on them last night on the local media outlets. We have 6 vessels that they deploy, and their job is to rescue people in either a swift moving environment or something with fast moving debris, you know, a flash flood. So that those resources staged right here in Palm Beach County and could be deployed at any time, even into your city. So it's a good thing for us. And then finally, there we go. Our depth of service. You know, as you realize, we are an enormous organization. The resources you have here of only 18 firefighters immediately on duty, but within Palm Beach County, it's right there. On a daily basis, we man 51 fire stations and we have 171 frontline units. Okay, so how does this compare? A few months back, if you remember, we had an incident over at Lake Worth High School, which we were classifying as a mass casualty incident. Within a few minutes, you know, we had probably 4 units on scene with 15 to 20 firefighters. And when that started to escalate within 30 minutes, we had over 36 units there and over 80 personnel handling that scene. And that's because of the resources within Palm Beach County that will go anywhere as well as here. And in a moment's notice, you will have what you need. And you could see that's daily, 56 rescue trucks, 42 engines, you know, so on and so forth. So we are resource intense and they're available here for your city to use. And then finally, we had a sketch of this last meeting. We've had our frustrations with our new ladder truck. That's it right there. It's a 100-foot ladder truck. We took delivery of it at the end of last year. We've done a lot of training with it, and we had some hiccups with some mechanical things. It had to go back. The repairs have been made. Over 40 months waiting on that piece of apparatus, but it should be here any day, and we will make sure it's on display for you all to see. It will be out of Station 35 right now currently, which because there it has access to 95, so it could shoot right up 95 to 6th or 10th Avenue, or it could come straight down Lantana Road and get to the south end of the city even quicker. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And fire trucks now are literally like on a 6-year waiting list.
Oh,
It's awful.
Crazy. They can't get them.
And that's the quick of it.
Well, thanks.
Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Say,
We do. It's
You still have the little, years ago, a guy bought a bunch of little like oxygen masks.
Mhm.
for things just-
we still carry those. Yes, ma'am.
And I just always, every time I get the opportunity, have to personally thank, they saved my life. In 2023, I had a pulmonary embolism. I wasn't breathing and they got there and they were just amazing. And I thank them as often as I can.
Well, we're happy we could do that for
Oh,
you.
you did.
Again, you have hard copies there. The other cities that I manage, some of them are going digital. So I do have a digital format. If you would rather have it that way, I could send it over to the clerk. I have some more copies if anybody would like them, but go ahead and review it. Again, it covers on everything within the county, not only Lake Worth Beach. And if you have any questions, just give me a call.
thank you
So
so
much.
much. Can we just ask that the city manager make sure that if you have a digital, that there's a link or a click through on our website for people to see this?
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much. And good to see you always. Up next, a few months ago at the Palm Beach County League of Cities Board meeting, which I attend every month, Mr. Mark Wigner, who was at the time a Boca Raton commissioner, we're going to give it a minute to calm down. came before the board. And I want to thank you very much for taking your time out to come to us tonight. Gave us a talk about the little wheels that are making everybody crazy. And I asked him to come up and give the presentation. This is just a good overview of what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, commissioners, for having me. Actually, I enjoyed sitting through listening to the fire presentation as well. Hopefully we don't add too many e-bike accidents to that stat, but just from Boca, just to let you know, we have 100,000 people and we had 20,000 calls last year. So it seems to be that it is comparable for many reasons. And unfortunately, also the Boca fire saved my life. Actually, just this January, I had a emergency incident where I was hemorrhaging, and the blood donation, if it was not for the blood bank at Boca, I would not be standing here.
Wow.
So I want to say that you thank the fire department, thank them that they have all those things.
They're amazing.
When you know, you're just happy when it's there. You're just happy. You're just happy. Let me tell you, I was happy when it's there. And in the Boca ambulances, there's a clock about how many minutes it takes to get to the hospital. So that is the response time is the most important thing. So it's actually comparatively to listen to different cities is quite it's quite interesting. So anyway, thank you, Mayor. Before I was a commissioner and on the CRA and the League of Cities, I'm a biker, and I'm a corporate lawyer, real estate lawyer. But I was on the bike, did triathlons and all those things. And I joined the bike board because I really care about that. And so I started really, seeing this. So really about starting 10 years ago, I started doing this research on e-bikes because I saw this as a kind of coming trend. And obviously now we've seen this all over the news. It's everywhere. Unfortunately, God forbid, but unfortunately there are many accidents with people and children, not following the rules or just driving these e-bikes way too fast. And of course, it's not that we're really anti e-bikes or anti, micromobility. I'm a huge advocate of it. It's that sometimes it's not done correctly. Sometimes the infrastructure that we have is not quite ready for it yet. And so it takes a lot of different pillars to try to help it along. Likewise, the regulations are just not quite there yet. The e-bike regulations there, I'm going to blow it up in a second, but they're quite limited, really. And so the Florida statute for e-bikes is just quite simple. What is an e-bike? Defined as a bicycle, so long as it is capable of being propelled by human power, a maximum speed of 20 miles per hour. I don't know about you, but in our city, we see these e-bikes and e-motos flying down the street with young children, not wearing helmets, not wearing anything. And it is scary, frankly, as a dad, as a commissioner, as all those things. It is scary. It's not really subject to licensing. There was a bill in Tallahassee that did not pass. And of course, the question about helmets, of course, you should be wearing them. And there's supposedly a 16-year-old age minimum for e-bikes. But e-bikes are not supposed to be allowed on sidewalks and bike paths if they go more than 20 miles per hour. Again, how does that happen? I had some time, as the mayor suggested, and so I was able to do a little research on Lake Worth's bike code, and so I was able to pull up your old bike code here. And so again, even your own bike code says a bicycle is used as any device propelled by human power, which any person may ride, having two wheels, okay, either which is 16 inches or more. And so we'll come to learn, through this presentation and what's going on in the world and micromobility, that most of this stuff is not true anymore. Is that what a bike is it's something completely different. So really, we're going to focus on micromobility. There was a small e-bike bill that passed unanimously this session called 982, really what I call as a glorified move over law. Electric bikes on a shared pathway that's located in a park or recreation shall yield to pedestrians and shall give an audible signal before overtaking and passing that pedestrian. An audible signal is like, hey, I'm coming on your left, something, right? And so obviously it's a non-moving violation, so you could get a ticket. But if you just do some basic math, if this thing is going 20 miles per hour or more, that's 29 feet per second. That means they have to give you 2 seconds worth of notice. That means that they're across the street at CVS trying to yell at you to move out of the way because they will be on top of you before you know it. And that's the scary thing, is that these things are going too fast and that even the infrastructure when they're off the streets is not prepared for that. One of the things though, to comment on the fire chief's data, is that one of the good things about this bill is that when there's crash data, so this is the 911 dispatch calls, or whenever someone writes a police report or an accident report, is that they're now supposed to identify which crashes involve the micromobility. And so this could be helpful because once we could truly have a disparity, and I talked to, in Boca as well, they just said bike crash. I didn't say what type of bike crash. So once we have some data here too, maybe then we could start pinpointing some solutions. And of course, just as I said, as the world has changed, even the definition of a bicycle has changed. And of course, you've seen these things, when I was growing up, I don't know about you, but when people rode on one wheel, they were in the circus. Okay. So now these and are driving around on the street with one wheel. I don't know how they're staying level, but some sort of geoscope that's keeping them level. And anyway, they're driving around all over the place at speeds that are unimaginable. And of course, the point is micromobility is so accessible, it's affordable. The demand goes up and the use goes way up, right? So $500, pretty much, people are using some of these instead of a car. Now, mind you, it's an affordability issue. It's a workforce issue. I mean, just looking around here, you could just see, right? There's a guy right there in his, scooter. So again, the first step here is like recognizing the problem. It's not just bikes. It's everything. It's e-mobility, e-bikes, e-scooters, e-skateboards, right? You've seen people on skateboards, but they have a remote in their hand and they can click the button and they're going 30 miles an hour. So it's e-everything. So our definition of what micromobility is, what bicycles are, has changed, okay? Of course, the accidents are increasing. The weight of e-bikes, the batteries, these are substantially more heavy. I have a couple e-bikes. The lightest e-bike is 38 or 40 pounds. And of course, if you're a road biker, those are 18 pounds or 9, you can get super light bikes. But the idea is the bikes are so heavy. So the point is the force of an accident, right? The people do not appreciate that they're driving almost a motorcycle at a huge weight and just risk perception, right? So you can't stop these things as fast that you thought you could because you thought, it's just a bike. I could stop on a dime. No, it's not true anymore. It takes much longer for these 50, 60, 70-pound bikes to stop, right? So just like a car, braking distance increase. And of course, there's multiple classes. Again, 28 miles per hour is the maximum. It's a class 3. It's pedal assist only. So on regular e-bikes, which I have, a legal bike, there is a throttle assisted up to 20 miles per hour. And you see people here where there's no pedals at all, right? And they're going 30 or 40 miles per hour. But the legal bike can only be pedaled faster than 20 miles per hour. Of course, there's some road bikes that you could pedal. You see them on A1A or, something where they can go pretty fast. But pedal assist only above 28 miles an hour. And so the idea is not to just come in here and tell you what the problems are, but to have a couple solutions, what things we've been seeing. Of course, educate, right? So there's a lot of e-bike friendly stuff that we could do either at schools. I've spoken at Spanish River High School, talking to the kids there. All right. And if you go to any high school now, you just see lines of these bikes everywhere. Planning policy, right? Our own infrastructure here. I had some time to spend at the beach and around Lake Worth a little and like taking some pictures and really looking at your infrastructure here because a lot of it is based on like old school bikes. But what about the new bikes? Enforcement, right? Now, now cops are giving tickets. Cops are impounding bikes, right? So this is talking to the sheriff's office saying, hey, for these serious violations, what can we do? And of course, partnerships, right? Working with the bike advisory committees, other stakeholders, traffic departments, schools, educating on safety is super, super important, right? Promoting healthy riding on trails. So of course there is the e-bike, there are e-bike courses everywhere. Yes. Is that a okay. So of course there are e-bike courses everywhere that you could take. They're online. And the idea is to get people involved in doing that. This is at your own Lake Osborne there. So I went there and, again, planning policy is great to talk about, but it's expensive to implement. We just went through the budget presentation here. There's not a lot of money just laying around, right? We know that, we got to fix the roads. We got to fix the pipes. We got to fix the sewers. There's a water main break. I just bought a new fire truck for 3.5 million. That took me 6 years to get, right? Because we're all in the same boat. So again, how do we invest in our infrastructure? It's expensive. I took a deeper dive into Lake Worth's comprehensive bike plan. That's there. And you have a 2009 Lake Worth bike plan. That's it's a great roadmap. And so the question again comes in all of these things. Well, how are we doing? How are we doing with these things? How are we doing with integrating things? In 2009, were they thinking about the bikes that are driving around today? I'm like, I don't think so, right? I don't think they're thinking about e-bikes going 30, 40 miles an hour. I don't think they're thinking about people getting off the tri-rail with their bike in tow and driving to work, but because they have to, because that's how they get to the restaurant or that's how they get to the hotel, that this is a mode of transportation now as well. And last mile logistics where they're not sweating anymore because it's e-bike. So they can actually get to a restaurant and work without having a car. So this is an affordability issue. This is a workforce issue. So this gets onto a bigger thing here. So the comprehensive bike plan here, I saw it's great. I love the downtown grid system in Lake Worth. You have some kind of longer stretches, and whatnot, but there's some great bones, to this. Of course, then digging deeper into your own bike plan, I saw that a lot of the things I just talked about are already there. In terms of education, in terms of partnerships, in terms of planning type of things, and in terms of next steps too. So again, it's like, hey, we could look at these things, update them, update our existing plans to reflect current technology, and then kind of really reflect on, okay, well, what's the best step, that we could do with the limited financial resources that we have. Obviously, you have a CRA bicycle network plan here, which I also thought was great. Transportation and mobility improvements, making a more walkable, right? So in your downtown CRA plan, you have a lot about the walkability of downtown. But how about bikeable, right? Because a lot of the times when I was walking around here, there are some streets that have bike lanes like this one does and that one doesn't. This one does and that one doesn't. And so there's a bunch of incongruity with some of those things. And when you're in the bike world, the whole thing is about connectivity. You don't want any dead spots. You want things to be able to loop, and whatnot. And so even right outside City Hall, obviously this is a major thoroughfare. And so you're making sure that the traffic flows, but the bike lanes disappear as soon as you get into the center grid. So again, what I saw literally just walking up in here was guys starting on the sidewalk because they didn't know where to go and there wasn't a bike lane, going into the street, going into the, just going all over, trying to maneuver. And then when they crossed all the way to the other intersection, they found another bike lane and then they started, again. So again, some planning things that we could do. This is the beach. This is at the casino there. And again, beautiful. I love this. Thank you for hosting the League of Cities a couple months ago. But anyway, again, you have a beautiful bike path there, but it is adjacent to the boardwalk, the walking path. And so one of the things I was thinking about is like, put a speed limit on that, and just make sure like a little bike speed limit and say 10 miles an hour. Because at the beach, those people should not be driving an e-bike at 30 miles an hour because they're so close to the humans, that are just walking that there's no possible way that they could stop, So you could see, and then also the little trail that kind of weaves in and out of the beach there, it has some dead ends. So again, if you're driving at 20 miles or 25 miles an hour, which they shouldn't be, they could cause some traffic. So there's some conflict points, so we use these conflict points issues. So some things at the beach is for hanging out, it's for chilling out, it's for going slow. And, let's make sure it's known there and at least start with signage and maybe some, enforcement. You could do some bike, you say, hey, there's a cool bike trip. What's the best bike trip in Lake Worth? And of course, it takes you to Lake Osborne. It's taking us here, right? So you have some amazing infrastructure here. You have a beautiful beach. You have Lake Osborne. You have this great center, walkable downtown. You have some great stuff here. We need to kind of embrace, the bikeability of Lake Worth Beach and promote it. Obviously enforcement is possible too. Is can we get the sheriff's office and some to get there where there's some real people that are just park rangers potentially, yeah, that are real violators, and and get some tickets out there. Yeah. Get some tickets out there. And of course, yeah, e-moto is the new big thing with regulation. E-moto is something where it is basically it is a motorcycle. It does not have pedals at all. It is just a battery strapped on to a bike, and these things can go 50 miles an hour now, and parents are buying them for their children, so it's ridiculous.
They don't like
it. God forbid, but it's scary.
Kid tried to convince me today. They was like, you gotta help me convince my mom to get me this bike. I'm like, no.
It's scary. So it's a newest challenge. We'll have to deal with that too. The new legislation on registration for significant e-bikes did not pass. And so hopefully that'll come again in Tallahassee. But again, I think there's some beautiful partnerships in Lake Worth Beach, is the stuff that I've been seeing and walking around the neighborhood and stuff like that. But you could see even in the picture of the Arts and Cultural Master Plan, the picture on page 2 is just someone just riding there, cruising on their bike, so that's how you enjoy Lake Worth Beach, right? It's not just walking around and not just driving, but making it, safe and friendly for all types of bikers. So again, we do the similar thing in Boca. We have an advisory committee. We're passionate. We have lots of stakeholders about it. We have some good crash data as well. And we talk about those. And we talk at the Boca Bike Board. Unfortunately, we've had some deaths, on A1A and whatnot. And they talk about every significant bike accident. They talk about why it occurred. Look at something if there was a problem with the intersection itself. Was there a planning problem? And now with a lot of e-bikes, the idea is it's not that we have planning problems. It's that when a bike is going 30 miles an hour, it creates a planning problem. It's something we did not anticipate. So again, yeah, there's your beach cruiser, and there's some other pictures of Lake Worth, some of the bike infrastructure that you have here. So like I said, the planning is, you have some great bones here. I love this town, and I love just all the stuff, the memories growing up to Benny's and the beach, and and seeing this little cultural thing here, and just the beautiful quaintness of this, even at a meeting. It's really nice to see, really nice. But the idea with e-bikes is that it's here and it's not going away.
So scary.
And like I said, and there's opportunities for improvement, right? Because what you see then is with conflict points, paint, ballards, buffered bike lanes. You see there's opportunities to protect that. And so the idea would be to really zero down, with your advisory boards and your bike boards or your traffic boards, your infrastructure, is to just boil it down and hey, what's the top 10 list? Let's boil it down to the top 10 list. What are the biggest problems here? Let's just focus on those. Maybe we could find a couple $100,000 in there, or get some grants, right? Complete Streets, Vision Zero, whatnot, get some grants for some funding, and work on stuff. So like I said, then we look at metrics, right? We want to decrease accidents, safe streets for all as well, workshop attendance, maybe have a workshop on it, maybe have a town hall on it if you get really a lot of people involved, get some online engagements and, education going on, some new policies, planning, enforcement, and trails. So there's a lot of things cities could do. And like I said, thank you for inviting me, Mayor. And if there's any questions,
We have a
happy
couple
to.
questions.
Sure.
Mr. McBoy and then Ms. Malega.
Commissioner Lake.
Ms. Malega and then Mr. McBoy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. So a couple things. We don't own half of our streets.
Likewise, yeah.
So there's that challenge, right?
Yeah.
With the state of Florida. We were blaming a lot of stuff on the state today, aren't we? My question is, when you said impounding the bikes, if they're not registered and they're not plated, how would said officer impound a vehicle? And I mean, logistically, I'm thinking there's no plate, there's no registration number. That to me creates.
Yeah, it's a regulation gap.
It creates
Right.
a problem if if we want this done in our city, but yet there's no way for them to identify who these bikes belong to. Now, years ago, we did have a bicycle registration program here in the city of Lake Worth Beach.
Right.
Which they were able to do like an etching, and that was your number, because we do have a high bicycle theft in this area. So I don't know how would you suggest if they're impounding them, how do they identify whose bikes these are?
Yeah, no, listen, that's
I mean, you guys have your own police department. It's a little bit different with Boca. I mean, are they really impounding them and then just putting a ticket around it so you know whose bike it belongs to?
Well, I think usually what I've seen happen is that, and what I've heard from the stories where they're stopping it is where there's a significant violation and they're impounding the bike. The kid is sitting right there and is saying, have your mom call us to get it
Then they're
back.
taking it to the impound.
Yeah.
They're writing it up.
Yeah.
And hopefully this kid's telling the truth about who he is and where they live.
Exactly.
There's
Yeah.
no tracking system on these right
Yeah.
now is the concern.
Yeah, no, there could be local, like to your point, you could have a local registration, but again, who wants to start that and do that, right? So there's a cost.
So with the bicycles, so maybe that's something we should. think
So
about.
maybe that's a good idea. Yeah.
Boy,
Thank you. I really appreciate you coming and talking to us. I think I've been to almost every meeting since I got my e-bike about a year and a half ago on the e-bike. And mine is max 20 miles an hour. I've seen it get to 20.5, but close enough.
There should be a governor on it if you're going downhill or something.
Yeah, downhill, it'll go a little faster, but we don't have a lot of downhill. But down bridge, but
bridge, yeah.
20 is plenty fast. People have asked me, well, don't you want to hijack the thing or whatever it is you do to supposedly you can do? I say, I have zero interest in doing that. That's plenty fast. I have good acceleration. I can get through intersections safely. I can keep up with a fair amount of traffic. I have no interest in going faster than that. And I don't see here a lot of people whizzing past me. So I'm
That's
not
good.
seeing a lot of the 30, 25, maybe because we here in town I don't think we sell any, but I might be wrong about that. I know that one of our stores definitely doesn't, but I really appreciate that you are focused both on the safety, which are very real concerns, especially going faster, and on the real benefits of micromobility, that this is, and one that you didn't quite mention, but almost, is somebody going to a job where they have to look sort of presentable. In the old days, you biked in August and you didn't look presentable when you got there.
Right,
That's
you're
why
not
I didn't
sweating.
bike to meetings in August. I can e-bike to them and I'm fine. 20 miles an hour, I'm cool enough that I'm okay. There may be some clothing things or other, but it really is a difference in Florida of being able to, not have a car or maybe one car per family. So I very much appreciate the dual focus on this is not going anywhere. It is a real service in society, but there's some real regulation and safety issues that we ought to try to get ahead of.
Yeah, when we hear about Tri-Rail, we always hear that Tri-Rail is equivalent to one lane of I-95 traffic.
We are one of the biggest stations, and when Tri-Rail started letting bikes on, it was huge. That totally, now your east-west connector is a lot better, and with an e-bike, it's even better.
So when you think about it, when you look at that investment, I say a couple $100,000 for, more bike lanes or shared use trails or things like that, right? If your biggest, if Lake Worth Beach, Tri-Rail is one of the biggest stations and people are using this to get to work, like all of a sudden it's an economic driver.
Yep.
And meaning that if I can get these people to work, that my downtown businesses, my tax base is going to start getting better. So, these bike lanes, are a potential economic, they're a cash register, but you need to be able to put some dollars in first to get it going. So anyway,
Thank you.
thanks for having me.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking your time and being so patient in the
lovely.
agenda. You have it's been wonderful to work with you at
Thank
Florida
you.
League of Cities
Yeah.
and Palm Beach County League of Cities, and
We'll see
you're a
you soon.
highly respected person, and we appreciate that.
Thank you,
you
guys.
so much.
Thanks. Enjoy. Good luck to you all.
I just wanted to let you all know that we have heard that Palm Beach County is working on adopting an micro-mobility e-bike ordinance that would apply to all the municipalities in the county unless you opt out. So
Oh.
we'll be bringing that forward.
So they're
for you
doing the
all to
work for
review.
us.
Maybe.
Well, we'll see. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great trip back.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Bagley is on Zoom because he has the flu for the circuit
For
presentation.
circuit. Oh, okay. Circuit, and circuit is our last presentation. Sorry that you're not feeling well, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Good evening, Madam
Thank you for
Mayor.
not coming.
Commissioners. I have a brief update to share with you all. I'll be very quick here, but we presented recently at a couple of commission meetings for the renewal, which has already gone through, but wanted to come back and share how our marketing efforts have panned out over the past several months since we last met. So I have some collateral to share with you and some recent stats. So I'm going to share my screen here. Can you all see that?
Yep, there we go.
Now we can.
All right, great. So again, just a quick overview of the program with the service map, hours of operation, 2 vehicles running in the CRA district. We also go over to the beach. We have 1 gem and 1 sedan. Fare is $1 per ride plus $1 for each additional passenger. Since the direction from the last time I came and presented, the goal was to increase ridership and boost awareness. And I think we've done a good job with that. Our marketing team created a bunch of different campaigns for social media that we shared with the city and the CRA. We've been posting ourselves on a regular basis, just continuing the campaign to grow awareness in the market. We had a strong season, just a couple examples here. Then we also did a decal that we created for local businesses and printed out a few hundred of these and handed them out so that a local business can put it either at their point of sale or on their front door. So I know that these are getting the word out quite nicely as well. And then if we look at our ridership over the trailing 13 months, of course, March was the spike and our busiest month since we started. April dropped as you would expect, but still up 35% year over year over April of 2025. So I think a big success overall, and even stronger than February, January, and the entire peak season. Another metric that we wanted to look at was monthly unique riders, and we've grown that steadily too since our last meeting. I think it was December or January, but 348 unique riders in March and 344 in April. So that's still growing and much better than it was last year, 58% higher than April of 2025. So that's all I have on the slides here, but happy to answer any questions. I did also want to share that we were able to get an FDOT grant application in on Friday. I worked with Joan from the CRA and we're able to get a grant in to expand to citywide using some FDOT grant funding. So that went in. We won't hear about it until probably the start of the 4th quarter, and it's for next year. But still, I think a great opportunity to expand the program with some grant money. There is another transportation disadvantage grant that we can also apply for that just came out and is due in about a week and a half. That one's a little bit more specialized, but I think that we would have an opportunity to apply for that as well. It's focused more on either seniors, low income, or people that don't own a vehicle, and other ADA or different cohorts that we can specialize and target to be able to solve for some transportation challenges there. So would love to hear your feedback on that if you think any specifics come to mind, but otherwise I'll be working with Joan and her team to come up with a good application for that and get that one in. That's a 90%, it's only a 10% match. 90% is paid for by the CTD who administers that grant.
How is your advertising going? You know, getting income from advertising?
Yeah, we have the Cultural Council is on right now, and there's been that's up and down as it always is in some of these markets. It's a little bit busier in the peak season, and it slows down a little bit in the summer. But we have some more regional brands that we're working on now that we are. I don't have the schedule right now as to what we have coming up, but I can certainly find what's on there and share that with you all.
Yeah, the more you can, because it's such an amazing program, and it also is such a big chunk of money for the CRA and the city. So any contributions you could come up with would be helpful.
Of course. Yeah. And, you know, we also hope that the county, I know there's a lot going on there with potential surtax funding becoming available, and we've attended some of those workshops. So we're obviously pushing for that, and hopefully there's some good news here later on in the year.
Ms. Malega has a question.
Actually, it's funny. I used Circuit this morning.
Uh-huh.
To get from my house at Fourth and E all the way to 10th and Palm Way.
Ah.
Cost me $1.
Yeah.
Yesterday at 10:30, I had to get from downtown in front of the Playhouse in the monsooning rain to
Oh.
my house at Fourth and E. Cost me $8 in a lift.
Oh.
And I didn't even ask them to pick me up quickly.
Wow.
I sat under the little overhang in front of the Playhouse. So it just goes to show you the economic impact that it could have to somebody who needed to use or get
Yeah.
around every day. My car's in the shop right now and I planned on walking yesterday, but then the rain came. So I am a user of Circuit when I need it. I support it. I really think that we're missing the mark by not talking to the local businesses in town about advertising banners or advertising their name on the app, just like Google and Yelp and everybody else does, or Waze.
Yeah.
I think that could be an asset for us. Even like I said, if you have businesses pay $25 a year
Mhm.
just for their name to show on the map, that's $25 a year that we're collecting to offset so we can keep this affordable. Because I really don't want to increase the cost for the ridership for the people who need to use it multiple
Yeah.
times a day, because that does add up, right? If
Sure.
you have to take 2 or 3 trips back and forth, you're
Yeah.
looking at $6. That's without tipping the driver. One thing I did want to say, and I was very impressed, my ride went from 5 minutes to 14 wait time
Mm.
on the circuit.
Yeah.
And that's because the bridge went up.
Oh, yeah.
So the driver called me right away because I sent a message
Wow.
and said, it looks like my time extended. And she called me right away and said, I'm at the beach due to the bridge. I'm running a little behind. And then I got a receipt, which I've never gotten in my inbox as well. So things on the user end, I can attest today have improved. I completely support this project. Would you like a letter of support from the commission for the grant that you're applying for?
Absolutely. Yes. And we will actually be the ones to apply for this next grant, the transportation disadvantaged. And yes, we would love that. I think that's
And are
really
you
helpful.
only applying for Lake Worth Beach or are you applying as Circuit as a whole?
This project that we're applying for is for Lake Worth Beach. It has to
Okay.
be specific.
Okay, so
Thank
if I
you.
can get consensus for us to write a letter of support?
Sure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Consent.
Consent.
Okay,
Consent.
perfect. And I
Yeah, that'd
won't
be
use
great.
AI or Chat GP.
Thank you.
Just because people think that I use that. So yes, I'll work on getting that letter and I'll send it over to Joan and then she can send it and obviously give it to you guys to proofread through the attorney's office
Yep.
first.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank
That'd be
you.
great. Thank you so much.
Mr. McFoy.
Yeah, great ideas on the app advertising and support from the commission for the letter. Good. And I just want to give in addition to very much supporting this program, I want to give an additional shout out. I've talked both directly to the person I'm going to name and to many people who know her. And that is Nikki, who lots of people know. She knows the habits of some of the regular drivers. She makes sure that, okay, they're going to be about 15 minutes doing their shopping. I'll be back around and pick them up. That level of personal caring and really adds to the richness of our community. And so big shout out to that.
That's great. Love to hear it. Thank you so
Yep.
much.
And I hear you were talking to the folks on the island and all the condos in the island across from us.
We are
They're pretty excited. They want to do it.
They do? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep on pushing. It's been
All right.
it's been a challenge there, but I will certainly keep pushing.
I'll try to help. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. All right. Thank you all.
Take care. Thank
Get
you so
better.
much. Have a good, and take care of yourself.
Appreciate it. Take care.
So
Bye-bye.
that's it for the presentations. Oh my gosh. All right. So we are now on comfort.
break.
We can do a comfort break. We'll be
Thank-
back in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
it is 8 PM and we have reconvened.
great. Thank you very much. And we're back on. Now we're back on. Okay, we have finished. That's a lot of proclamations and presentations. Okay, public participation of non-agenda items and consent agenda. Ginny Powell? Well, Greg, I think abandoned us. He's not coming back? Okay.
He can be read.
What is it? Thank you for your brief discussion. All right. And then Todd Townsend.
Jenny Powell, 224 North Palm Way. I just wanted to make a comment. Actually, I was at this commission meeting, but I was very tired. It was late as usual, and I went home. The mayor brought me my phone, which I left. So I appreciated that. But I wanted to make I went home and listened to the commissioner liaison comments, and I wanted to comment on that. In response to Commissioner McVoy making a comment about the commission's response in general to the November 10th referendum,
March
10th. A commission comment was that the message that they got was that the people don't want to do 99-year leases. And I thought was not correct. I think that is not the reason that the voters rejected that. The voters rejected it because, and I think you all know this, but it was not stated correctly. The voters rejected it because it was taking away their right to vote on 99-year leases. As you know, I think you know that the charter allows for 99-year leases or up to 99-year leases, but the people get a vote on it. So I just I feel like that's something that needs to be real clear. That's why it was rejected, is because the people wanted to continue to be able to vote on the 99-year leases. I think also there's been some comments, and I sent you an email about the downtown parcels master plan. And I think one thing that we got from people at the doors about the amendments was that they like the character of our town and would like to retain it as much as possible. Our quirky, cool beach vibe town. And I think that the downtown parcels master plan also reflects that interest. 3 of you on the commission supported the downtown parcels master plan. And I know it wasn't adopted, but it was approved. And, another plan sitting on a shelf. And there was Commissioner McVoy also made a recommendation to revisit that. And I think that's a great suggestion. And I hope that you will do that. So I guess that's about all I want to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Richter left a message. Thank you for your brief discussion on South Palm Park Historic District. We have been hit with massive contemporary home going in. Todd Townsend, followed by Teresa DeVoe.
Hi, Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. Namaste. Just a few days ago, we had the Historic Planning and Preservation Board meeting. And that meeting had everything to do with the concern for the parking garage. And in this meeting, they asked if the garage had anything to do with Mr. Weiner and their downtown high-rise apartment building and glass storage museum. Mr. Waters and Mr. Whitfield both said no, with your backing, which was very much untrue. Mr. Weiner will not build his apartment building / glass storage museum without the garage. So the two are very much connected, very much connected. And so building, and so with this garage, he expects that there will be an area for him, and those numbers will still be in the public parking
numbers. So it's more deceptive. And then the annex building will also need spaces set aside in that garage. But let's just vote yes on the project before that becomes apparent to the well-deceived public. But I digress. So then the HPPV, setting a new precedent, voted to allow this garage to be as tall as the Lucerne minus 5 feet, with no step backs, as it rises above all of the other buildings in the area. Subsequently, I think we can expect a visit from Renee and Mr. Weiner to exploit the new precedent that was just set on the setbacks and height. In my opinion, this is a bummer. We have better projects to serve as a swan song for some of our people here that we love. In closing, I think it's a disgrace, a slithering manner with which you've hampered this gentleman and his project, and the haste and act and the haste that you act with is clearly a reflection of not actually wanting to have a city manager. And so that, let's just do everything and then get a city manager to like try to make this stuff happen and be ready to take the fall. So that's all I should say. Thank you for your time and have a great night.
Thank you. Teresa DeVoe?
Teresa DeVoe, 1106 South Palm Way. Several members of the South Palm Park visited the historical board meeting last month in regards to modern monoliths that are going on Lakeside, and were dealt with a very harsh reality of what the city's vision of what's coming for especially the east side of Lakeside, the intercoastal side. Not so much by what the city has done, but the state. We are in a flood plain. And so we've been told any house, whether it's historical or not, can eventually be demoed if the owners want. And with that demo, I'm not sure if it's the state or the EPA or FEMA. These houses are having to be built on 11 or 12 feet high foundations from the crown of our roads. So the one at 1120 right now being built, the poured concrete foundation for that home is at or above the height of the little Florida home next to it. So we understand we can't do anything about that because these are regulations that the builders have to meet. My concern is, for 7 years, we've been complaining about our sewer system down there. The small rain we had on Sunday, we can't flush our toilets. We have water gurgling back up into our sinks and toilets. Can't use our facilities until the water goes down. The storm drains are not draining. The water is bubbling up and flowing out into our streets. And if it's a really bad rain, the sewer caps are coming off and that's flowing into our streets. These 11 and 12-foot foundations are going to impede the natural drainage of the water in our area into the intercoastal to begin with. And when we start getting them on both sides of the street where they're building this 1120 and 1130, there's an empty lot directly across the street. We're going to be creating like canyons with rivers flowing between them. This is your 20-year vision. They said, we're going to see these homes on the whole east side because they're selling these lots for 3 and 4 million and building these. But just imagine, it doesn't take a brain surgeon with these 11 and 12-foot foundations all along the east side of the intercoastal. What does that do to the rest of the homes in our neighborhood that are at 2 and 3 feet or the crown of the road? We're already having flooding. And I can look on my balcony from the intercoastal to my backyard. It's just a watershed. It's not draining now. This city, is this their 20-year vision for what our neighborhood is going to look like? And I understand you can't really do anything about that. We need a civil engineer to address our sewer and our storm drains now, because we're already getting flooded. And
Thank you, that's time.
it's going to continue to get worse.
Thank you. Okay. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have by Ms. May? Do I have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Segrich, all in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda. Do I
Motion
have
to approve.
by Ms. Malega, second by
May.
May? All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearings, ordinance 26-02, second reading, amending chapter 23 land development regulations regarding murals and sculptures attached to structures. May you read it? Would you read it, please?
This is ordinance 2026-02, an ordinance of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending chapter 23 land development regulations, article 1 general provisions, division 2 definitions, article section 23.1-12 definitions, amending and adding definitions, article 4 development standards, adding thereto a new section 23.4-27 murals and sculptures attached to structures, and amending Article 5 supplemental regulations, section 23.5-1 signs, paragraph E13 murals to eliminate duplicative language and refine regulation of murals as signs, and providing for severability, complex codification, and effective date.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have one public comment, Mr. Gross.
Hi, good evening. Ken Gross, 310 South M Street. I'm also on the Historic Resource Preservation Board. We discussed this issue at length. I know the Planning and Zoning Board unanimously recommended to approve it. We talked about 4 main issues in my opinion at the board meeting. The visibility from the right of way, which I believe that was addressed. Definition of mural, which was not addressed in the revision. Three main issues. And the exempting residential properties. This was in our first meeting that was about 2 months ago. I brought it up during my board member comments at the end of last month's meeting, and I sent the staff an email again summarizing at their request. And I don't blame staff for, they've got a lot going on, but you asked us on the board to review these items and give comments and feedback. I just want to make sure that we're not wasting our time.
Okay. We don't really respond.
I understand. Yeah. Okay.
But
all right.
You could just say that you mentioned a
couple. So the main issues that the historic board addressed or thought that were important in the revision was visibility from the right of way, which was addressed in the revision. A definition of murals, because if you don't have a definition of murals, there's a building on South Dixie Highway, I want to say in 3rd Avenue South or 4th Avenue South, that's kind of got a striped sunburst pattern. Where you're leaving it up to code to decide whether that's considered a mural or not. And you all have had a lot of discussion recently about, code and what they're enforcing, what they're not enforcing. And that's why I think it's important that this is defined properly.
Thank you, that's time.
Thank you very much. And we'll talk about what you're talking about.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at definition, any picture. Yeah. Any picture or graphic design painted on or otherwise applied to the exterior of a building or structure or to a window or fence or wall.
Yeah, I think that's too broad.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sorry, I know I'm out of time, but I know that one of Mr. Waters, one of the staff members said that a fence is not regulated. So now that contradicts the definition that we have.
Thank you. Mr. Waters? Good evening. Good evening. Do you want to address what Mr. Gross just brought up?
I don't really have anything to say, thank you.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Oh,
And no lights are on.
where did my light go?
Mr. McVoy.
Yeah, as I said at the first reading, this strikes me as a challenging area. We want to be a bit quirky, want to allow a bunch of things, trying to define everything and make it black and white is not so easy. But I do hear, the concerns from HRPB. I believe one of them was concern about residential areas. That was the third one you had, I think. I'm not.
We thought the regulation should not apply to residential buildings. Should only be commercial and otherwise.
Okay.
Do we as a commission?
Well,
want
let's
to-
look,
I
let's,
think-
thank you.
and-
Let's look in the language where it addresses.
And that was just our suggestion to the commission.
Right,
We said that, the backyard wouldn't matter,
right. Backyard was exempt.
right?
Yeah.
The backyard.
You can't see it from the street.
I don't know what else we would add to the definition of mural.
Yeah.
My only comment on the definition of mural from the past was my concern was, if you wanted to paint your column a different color, if you wanted to paint your column or around a window, a little bit of a design pattern, technically that would meet the definition of mural. I had thought maybe having a square footage, something like that would help with it because, the one example I brought up was the clothing store that had a little bit of a fence under the window and a little bit of ivy up the door. Technically, that's a mural according to this definition.
Painted on the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, in the grand scheme of things, it's like a little bit of trim
I
design.
thought
and-
I thought we had addressed that.
We
at
did
executive
address
session.
line
77. Yeah, I thought we talked about that. Except mural should not be required to comply with provisions. The mural, yeah, we did it. Yep.
Okay, good.
Okay, good. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much.
That's very good.
B,
I did. I voted aye.
thank you. B, ordinance number 26-04. May you please read by title.
Ordinance 2026-04 of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending policies and the infrastructure element of the city's comprehensive plan relating to water supply and adopting the 2026 water supply plan, providing for transmittal of the amendment to the state agencies required under chapter 163, part 2 Florida statutes, providing for severability, conflicts, and effect.
Thank you.
Motion to approve, and God, was this a boring read.
By Ms. Malaga. Yawn.
If I might interrupt,
Well, wait. We have a motion by Ms. Malega, a second by Ms. May.
but staff doesn't want that motion. That's what I'm trying to.
Well, we can't hear you.
Staff does not want that motion. The motion as it's written in the staff report you have does not take into account the requirement that we have to send the document to the state for review. So the second reading should not be scheduled 2 weeks from today. It should be scheduled for the June 16th meeting.
Yeah.
That's part of what the motion is written in the staff report.
I just made a motion to approve the report
Yeah,
as
that-
written.
That's all it does.
Oh, no, there's two parts to it. He's saying.
Where?
So why don't you just change it? Change your motion to to schedule the second reading and public hearing for June.
I didn't address the second
It's not
public reading
addressed
on
at all.
purpose. I didn't address it. I just said motion to approve. As written. I didn't make motion to approve and then
And
send
this
this.
doesn't have a date. in it.
It says May 19th, but Madam
But
Attorney, can I just make a motion to approve and then?
first reading.
You can make a motion to approve the ordinance and the public hearing can be set when it's ready to be set. You don't
Yeah,
have.
That's
to-
correct. That's why I didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
I never.
It's just
Also,
the-
you have to approve the ordinance and request it being transmitted to the state as part of the motion.
Okay, I amend my motion to, wow, this is a complicated one. I thought the read was bad. Motion to approve as written and submittal to the state and second reading to be in the near future.
Okay, thanks.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, wait, you want?
Wait,
yeah,
he
you're
came
here
out
for a
when I was in
reason.
here 2 hours and
We're here
20
for a
minutes. I
reason.
want to hear what he has to say.
Well, we have a presentation, but I don't know how to set it up and I don't know where our IT person is.
That's okay, moving forward. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Good evening.
That's one
Yeah,
second.
yeah, it's okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commission. For the record, Lance Lilly with Chen Moore on behalf of the city. This is for the 10-year water supply plan. This is a standard procedure that's done every 5 years. So essentially when the lower East Coast, which is done by the South Florida Water Management District, is conducted 5 years within that 10-year planning horizon, you have to update it. So essentially, most recently, the Water Management District updated it in 2023, 2024. So this is just more so to keep in keeping with what the Water Management District has. As you know, the city does have their own water plant, as well provide their own water, and previously provided it to other jurisdictions. So realistically, what this is just to update the document to be compliant with Florida statutes. And as William alluded to, yes, yes. And we do have members of your city staff here from the water department.
Yeah. Hey, water department.
Yes, Rakib, sorry. And realistically, once the board, or sorry, the commission does approve this document, as Mr. Waters did mention, this would have to be transmitted to the state. There are comprehensive plan policies that are associated with this. So the state would have to review this document and then provide us with any feedback that may be associated with this. And then we would bring it back before this commission.
Thank you. Can we have our presentation?
I think so. Yeah, actually, there we go. I'll be brief. A lot of this stuff I just mentioned. So the most recent presentation, or the most recent update, was in 2020. As I mentioned, it is updated every 5 years, even though it does say 10-year water supply plan. Is kind of misleading because it does get updated every 5 years by South Florida Water Management. And then, as I mentioned, that is the Florida statute that's there. Within 18 months of what South Florida approves, then you have to update your pretty much your document. The most recent update was September 2024. This isn't moving. Can you click the next slide for me, please, if possible? And the document is distributed in 5 sections. It pretty much goes into an introduction, what's water supply planning, what's Lake Worth Beach, and things like that. And then the overall, what's the existing service area, the water treatment, the storage, the conservation, those type of efforts that are done. And then we talk about the actual potable water assessment that has the population projections and how we would accommodate the population projections within the planning horizon, and then some capital improvement programs that are associated to infrastructure and water supply planning. And then lastly, like I mentioned, which is the comprehensive plan, goals, objectives, and policies.
So this is water, not.
This is strictly water, potable water, just to show that we can provide water to the constituents of Lake Worth Beach.
Okay.
And surrounding areas, correct. And then these are the 2 comprehensive plan policies. As you notice, it's just updating the years essentially. So it was 2018 before, now it's 2024, which was the most recent update from South Florida. And then the other one, which showed 2027, it really is 2026, which is when we started coordinating and doing the update of this document. And then this just shows the process of how we got here. We had 2 LPA hearings, one with the Planning and Zoning Board and the other one with the Historic Resources Preservation Board. And through that process, they recommended approval of this document. We're here now for transmittal. After we transmit this document, it will then come back before the commission for adoption. And that's pretty much it. We're here for your recommendation or your approval or transmittal of this document.
Mr. McBoy has a question.
Yes.
Just a confirmation question. You may be aware that our electric utility, which is quite different, does population projections.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering whether the population projections used in this update are pretty much consistent or more aggressive on population growth than the electric ones, so that we aren't having one department encouraging growth that the other department has not planned for or made sure that we have sufficient water supply. I think the answer is, yeah, we're well within the range, but I'd like to hear that as a confirmation.
So to be completely honest with you, this document was updated independently of what the electric utility has. Essentially, this is used with South Florida Water Management's numbers that they have, as well as information from the county to project those allotted years. So the electric utility is separate of this. The range, I'd have to go back and check and see what the range would be if it's consistent or not. But as of right now, this is just strictly independent of what
I fully understand that they're 2 different departments and have different ideas of population projections. The water department is not necessarily looking to increase population because they're concerned about staying within their permanent limits from SFWMD. The electric department believes that they distribute their costs better the more people they have on it, and so they project growth. They may have different. I want to make sure that us as a board are not approving something that is inconsistent with those two. And that's where I'm looking for. I realize they're different and you might not have looked at them, but I hope that somebody has.
We will address that between first and second reading, but the two service areas, this is not.
I know they're a little different.
They're quite a bit different.
Yes.
And the growth expectations of Palm Springs, which doesn't include part of our water, is much more aggressive than what our water supply plan is.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to let you know Vaughn Baker has her hand up and she is here, the Director of Water Utilities. She's here on Zoom.
See that she's here. Miss Baker.
She
Hi.
is here.
Hello. I just wanted to clarify that there's also a difference between population growth projection and growth of the utility service area. So this doesn't really concern with expanding service and extending our water mains or providing service to additional areas. This is more just, Palm Beach County TAZs and updating the area that we already have. So I think just for Commissioner McVoy's question, it really is worth noting that growth of the utility and population growth should be looked at very differently.
Thank you.
Right. And my concern, I get that, and I get that there are different footprints for the two, and that the different footprints outside of the city may have different projected growth rates. I just want to make sure that whatever we're projecting, that the two, somebody's looked at them both and said, yeah, this is, to the extent that it's apples to apples, which it isn't 100%, but there's overlap, that they match up reasonably.
Well, if the electric utility used Palm Beach County TAZ population growth projections, then it should match up as far as proportional with our service areas.
Okay, might be good to look at it between first and second.
We can look into that.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion. And the motion includes the transmittal. And we have second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lance. I didn't want him to sit there the whole time and not talk.
Why, no, I agree with you. Commission liaison reports and comments. Let's start with District Court tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to quickly see if we could get consensus to have a discussion on, and this one should be an easy one, I hope, setting a policy surrounding memorial dedications within our parks, specifically like benches or garbage cans or water fountains, lack of a better example. Well, there's been interest from some of the neighborhood associations about, placing or sponsoring a bench or a memorial plaque. We don't have a current policy for that. And so the direction from the city manager's office was, well, until we have a policy, we just can't do it because we don't want to have these kind of random things all over, and we want to be able to kind of govern it. So I think there's an opportunity because there are organizations interested in contributing to our parks, but also remembering outstanding individuals within our community. I think it would be worth a discussion. So.
I thought that Jamie created one and brought it forward a couple of years ago, but I don't think we ever went anywhere with it.
Yeah.
It was a naming policy
Right.
that Jamie created.
Yeah, he said we don't have one. So
No, we just didn't adopt it. I don't think.
It was
kinda died.
drafted,
It
but
was
That's
drafted.
similar to my recollection.
It was
too.
drafted and it was, I thought, quite detailed, but I think it failed from a previous commission, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I
But there
don't-
is something already.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, I don't mind talking about it. It's, it's not a bad thing to talk about. I just think that with everything, when do we start these consensuses that we're doing a lot of consensusing lately? And I don't know with staff, I just feel like we're great subject. I just don't know when this staff is going to be.
That's fine. It's not a super high
No, I
priority
mean,
compared to
it's-
some of the other stuff, but
And I know it's come up.
if we don't ask for it for our constituents, no one will.
I'm
Right.
saying there is one, maybe he could just send it to all of us to review, because he did bring us one a couple of years ago.
That would be a great start.
Mr.
Yeah.
Brown did.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So can we,
Well, we're going to bring it. We're going to.
the clerk needs a consensus.
No, we don't. We're doing a lot of consensusing, and I think that sometimes a consensus becomes a direction to staff to do something, which is a lot. So I think if we have the draft of what we have, we can all take a look at it and bring something up, but
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor.
yes,
I believe that we already had consensus for this, and I did create a discussion item to go on some agenda. It hasn't been added yet, but I did create the discussion item.
okay.
Okay.
All right, but if we could, someone, maybe Mr. Brown could find that old, the policy draft. That would be helpful. If someone could find that. Okay.
And send it to us so we can have a look.
Yeah, so just finding it is incomplete. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McVoy, for stating the obvious. Anything, yeah, go ahead.
Particular to some of the comments made about what's going on in South Palm Park. I've had discussions with a number of residents and individuals over the years about it, and the topic of our historic regulations and how they affect people's ability to storm harden or preserve some of the historic buildings, I think has a direct correlation with some of the tear down and rebuilds that we're seeing. I know, yeah, well, I know for, even my wife and I are looking at our home, and it's probably cheaper for us to tear our historic structure down and rebuild in terms of not only the cost of renovation, but then also the cost of insurance, because, we're not really capable of storm hardening our building in terms of the roof structure and so on, using a metal roof and things. I know way back, we do have, I think, on the list a discussion item about this, so I won't ask for that again, but it's something that I think as a commission, we need to really evaluate, especially being a coastal city that has a lot more of these issues of storm hardening versus restoration of our historic structures. And I think if we don't take some planning steps, we stand to lose a lot more of our historic cottages.
What do you suggest? I mean,
There's certain things, like the roofing. You can't put a metal roof if somebody has a shingled roof, and metal roofs are about 10 times more effective of protecting against a Cat 4 and 5 than a shingle roof. There's a lot of rules in and around the windows and additions and things. There's certain little things that make it a little bit more difficult to storm harden our historic structures, and therefore the easy route is just getting it condemned based on the sea level rise and repetitive flood zone, and tear it down and start over. But I think a lot of people would like to basically work on their existing home and continue it, and right now it's a very difficult process. And so just an exploration of can we make it easier with the goal of preserving the historic nature of our city, the quaintness of it, but also allowing people to take advantage of some of the modernization in material and just things like specifically the roofing and things.
yeah, and that just came up. There's a conversation going on that if you have a non-contributing structure in a historic district, there's somebody. I had a client that had a problem with this. He couldn't put a metal roof on his house because it was a non-contributing structure and it had to be the same roof as. I'm like, really? And it would. Some people had done just that prior to the law being changed. So right down the street was a mid-century modern house with a metal roof, and he couldn't do it in his house. And that's actually, I've been approached by someone who's dealing with that right now.
And you look at some of the other historic coastal cities, you look at like Hilton Head, South Carolina, they've got buildings from the 1800s, metal roof.
I'm going to admit that my house was built in 1942 and it has the original metal roof.
There are the original metal roofs, but the
But
cost.
just saying, that's how good they are.
Yeah, I mean my neighbor had one of those. His was 80 years old before he had to replace it. Significantly more expensive, but so anyway, I wanted to bring it up as a thought.
Code revision, reviewing the code, and I think and I'm just glad you brought that up, because I think some of these things we just need to tweak a little bit. We don't have to be purists.
Correct.
All the time, I know a couple of years ago there was a woman who was trying to get film, solar film on her windows in the backyard in a historic house. Like, no, you can't do that. It's like, but nobody sees it. So I think, I think That's really cogent to the code issue
Yeah.
that we're talking about.
Would this be, can I just ask a question? Would this be something that the Historic Preservation Board could look at first? Or is it something that we would deal with first?
Well, it'd have to go through them. I mean, it would be a
Yeah.
code change. So what we're talking about doing like a code revision.
No, I understand that, but my question is, we have a board.
It'll
that-
go there first.
That's what I'm.
Oh, yeah.
Well, wouldn't it make sense for them to look at it first? And see if they can come up with some of these ideas and then bring it to us? I mean, if it's a tree thing, we throw it at the
You
tree
wanna
board
do that?
first. It makes sense
I
to
think we would
me.
have to give them direction, and guidance in terms of what we're looking for, which means we would have to have a little bit of a discussion prior. to-
Yeah,
Maybe have a workshop.
That's,
But-
we have a whole board for this.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into my next comment. I was very appreciative of members of the HRPB board showing up today and making sure that they thought their comments were heard. And I know that when we send things to our boards, a lot of times all we really get in our staff notes is whether the board approved it unanimously or approved it 3-2 or what have you. We don't ever get a little bit of the commentary unless you go and watch those boards or unless members show up here. And I know we had a couple examples with the tree board where after the meeting or during the meeting, members of the tree board stood up and said, yeah, that's not exactly how it went. We didn't exactly say this or that. I don't think we need anything official, but I would encourage our boards, or I don't know if they have the opportunity that if they wanted to submit an opinion with their decision to us, that we include that.
They can always
Yeah,
email
this
us.
is-
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of encouraging it, saying this is I thought it was a very helpful thing, and it caused us to quickly go check some stuff, and I would like to see more of that kind of coordination, and I think it would benefit the residents. Besides that, not too much new on the District 4 front. We did have a meeting yesterday with some of the downtown merchants who gave feedback on various different topics. Code compliance was a primary subject there. There is another meeting tomorrow with some landlords and other business owners and so on to talk about that. So just gathering information for our upcoming discussion and looking forward to it. I think it's a very important topic, and I would just encourage anyone that's listening. Now is a great time to send us that email and give us your stories and give us your opinion and suggestions on these things. I think staff did a great job identifying some areas of policy change, and that's in the backup out there. So I'm hoping for a very productive workshop on Thursday.
Thank you. Ms. May.
Thank you. Not much to add from last week's update. I just wanted to make sure that anybody listening is aware that we have 2 positions on each of the Planning and Zoning Board and the Business Advisory Board. And applications are online and they're due by May 19th. And interviews will be at 5 o'clock on May 26th. So we really encourage residents who are interested in serving on either Planning and Zoning or the Business Advisory Board to apply, and hopefully we'll have lots of people interview and we can choose some new members of those boards.
Yes, new blood. Mr. McVoy.
Thank you. Just to follow up on Commissioner Segrich's, I too very much support the discussion, and I do think we should start the leadership on it and then send it over to Historic Resources of, this balance. It's come up in various ways, balance between climate change, sea level rise, but also things like solar panels or adaptations for energy efficiency. How do you balance that with historic? Because sometimes they are competing. Most historic houses didn't have solar electric panels. A lot of historic houses did have solar hot water. They were very prevalent in South Florida for a long time. So yes, I encourage that discussion. What's that? Yeah, they were very prevalent. You see a lot of them still around. Most of them are not working. Works great. And I like the idea of maybe us formalizing a little bit more the transmission from the boards to us give us a little more fulsome information. So that, you know, it's great that board members take the initiative to come, but I think that's not a reasonable burden to add. That we could have some mechanism that at least, you know, some transmission of the comments in more detail would be helpful. So that's to follow up on Commissioner Segrich's one. I would like to thank my colleagues. There was unanimous consensus to add a discussion item to an upcoming agenda regarding the downtown master plan that the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council prepared for us and that had a lot of public participation. So I'd like that I've asked that come up, you know, sooner rather than later. It doesn't have to be immediately, but that it does come up for us to discuss.
If we're going to discuss that, can we each get a copy of it?
I think it was sent recently,
Was it?
but yes, certainly.
Okay. I guess I bought mine.
I don't know. Yeah, send it along to us would be, it's not huge, I don't think, as megabytes, but, and then I would like to thank the folks that came in public comment. I really think that Ms. Powell's comment was to the point. I think she was clarifying the same kind of thing that I heard in the community. People don't have a problem with 99-year leases. They have a problem with who gets to decide on them. That the risk of putting it just in the hands of any commission, not specific to us, but any commission, that 99 years is a long lease to put in the hands of commissions that can be influenced. Whereas you bring it to the public, you know that the public is behind something. So I think it's important that we do listen to that message and do hear kind of the broader flavor that's behind it. In terms of Ms. DeVoe's comment on that potentially the District 4 close to the coastal is going to change quite a bit, basically making it look somewhat like the Keys where you put buildings up in the air. I'm just, as she was speaking or slightly before or after, I don't remember, it happened to pop up here. Scientists warn New Orleans residents may need to begin relocation planning now, study finds. This was published in Nature, which is probably one of the most prestigious science journals out there. We're not quite as bad as New Orleans. They're below sea level in a lot of places, but this issue of change is coming. We are luckier than further south in South Florida, where they're a lot lower than we are, but we're not that much higher. And, you know, sea level rise is not slowing down, unfortunately. So yes, I think that needs to be part of that discussion as well. Realistically, I mean, it has a lot of unpleasant, unhappy things with it, but it doesn't go away by us putting our heads in the sand. And then finally, I too was at the Historic Resources Planning Board that Todd mentioned. And I have to say that when staff, in this case, my wife gets on my case if I say staff, because she says, well, that might be the people picking up the garbage. They had nothing to do with it. Staff from the Community Sustainability Department, in answer to questions from the board members, said there was no connection between the garage and the WMOTA project. And that raised my blood pressure quite a bit because that was factually not correct. It has been repeatedly stated in written things that of course there's a connection. You can finesse what it is. Do they really get 50 spots? Do they only get 40? Do they sort of get them? Are they 100% their spots? No, they're not. But their project couldn't be approved without that availability. And the WMOTA guys have made it clear, no garage, no project. So for staff to misrepresent stuff to a volunteer board making decisions on it, I have a very big problem with that. Very big problem. So
Thank you. Ms. Malega.
Thank you. I don't attend any board meetings except for the CRA, and that's because I'm the liaison. And personally, I feel that if I'm sitting in the audience and there's something that's coming up to vote on, I don't want and this is just me personally, any board members to ever feel swayed or intimidated that I'm sitting in the audience. So that's why I don't attend, but I do watch them. I'm sorry?
You have spoken at some meetings.
At the CRA meetings, never, not any, I mean, I literally hands off only because that's just how I feel. I don't want them to feel intimidated to vote one way or another. So I watch them, I listen, and I thank every single board person who sits up here and takes a beating. So let me just start with that. I do agree that more input is good, but I do know that, like I said, I'll go back and I'll try to watch the banter, right? Or the question and answer, and the personalities. And I do like when the tree board comes up, or HRPV or somebody from the CRA is here and says, this item's coming up. I'm here just as a board member to give you, you know, a little more in-depth description. So I appreciate that. Couple things. I went through all the auditors' applications. That was fun this weekend. I had a lot of boring reading this weekend. I'm down to about 10, to which I told Mr. Perry, hopefully by the end of the week, I'll have that narrowed down to maybe 6 out of that very large book of applicants. So that was it. That was interesting reading. The tackle crawl was successful. It was fun. It was hot. Thank you to all restaurants who participated. Thank you to Bunny and Royal Poinciana Neighborhood for coming out and doing that. It was a lot of fun. It was well received. And I think the businesses, especially some of the newer businesses that haven't been highlighted, like the Dominican spot that's been trying to get open for a long time on Dixie Highway, they were part of it. And they didn't give away like a little sample. They gave away an empanada this big with a side salad. So by the time we got to like the last couple spots, we were so full. I literally couldn't even eat at, I think it was the Irish Brigade and at Lilo's. I was like, I can't eat another thing because the samples weren't samples. They were like full on meals. So they really went all out this year. And I want to thank them. I want to thank Commissioner Segrich and Commissioner McBoy for their support in the school board letter. I did not use AI or Chat GPT, just for the record, but I do want to read on the record so the residents know what was sent. Dear Superintendent Burke and the esteemed school board of Palm Beach County. First and foremost, we thank you individually and as a governing board for your dedication to the education of our youth in Lake Worth Beach and Palm Beach County. It is with strong support of our educators and their financial viability that we write to you. The parents, guardians, residents, and businesses of Palm Beach County have put their trust in Palm Beach School Board to hire, retain, and celebrate our educators. To assist them in overcoming challenges that they face through legislation, government mandated shutdown, COVID, health concerns, measles outbreaks, and attendance issues due to immigration crackdowns. These men and women work tirelessly, give of themselves financially, exhaust themselves physically, all to ensure that our children are seen, heard, cared for, and educated. Ultimately, this helps to strengthen families, create thriving communities, and become upstanding citizens. These students are our future selves who will serve, build, and represent generations to come. As municipal leaders, we value organizations that engage responsibly, deliver results, and align their efforts with community priorities. The school board of Palm Beach County has always exemplified these qualities and has earned the trust and support of our local leadership. We fully support our educators and believe that you will help them continue to positively impact youth, families, and communities across Palm Beach County. We respectfully encourage your approval of a much needed and deserved pay raise for our educators, which will assist in improving their financial health as well as economic stability, addressing critical needs that they are facing with rising cost of groceries, gas, rent, utilities, and more. Sincerely, with our 3 signatures. And I did send this to legal to approve and to the other commissioners to weigh in on it. I just want to say thank you. It was received by the school board and hopefully they'll do the right thing tomorrow. It is tomorrow, right? Yes, tomorrow. And the last thing I want to see, on April 30th, we all got an inter-office memorandum from Mr. Troy Perry in regards to a request that we received a formal letter from Benny's on the Beach seeking consideration to initiate discussions regarding a lease extension. I've read through it. I had a brief conversation with on my one-on-one today, and I just wanted to see if we have consensus. Speaking of consensus, don't yell at me here. If we have consensus for staff and legal to consider this and start working on this. I know that I would support it, knowing that the residents spoke volumes about what they want at the beach. We want to keep things affordable, as we've said, cheap hot dogs, and I think that this would be a good conversation. At least for us to know where we are with that project personally. And I just didn't know if there was an appetite up here for us to actually have staff do some research and look into this.
They're asking for an extension of 30 to 30.
No, they opened the extension conversation.
Right.
So staff, I guess, just needs consensus if we would consider extending this lease and even giving time or resources to this conversation on this letter.
Right.
I don't know if, I think that everybody else got it and read it.
Yeah, we did.
I get consensus.
I agree, Mr. Sigrid.
Yeah, I would consent. I just had a couple little comments on it, but I consent.
All right, Mr. McBoy. Not a speech, just yet you consent or not. I'm just taking a survey.
No, I would
Okay,
like,
so-
this is important enough. I would like to come. I would like to do so uninterrupted on that.
Well,
I
except
was
it's
involved in
Ms.
the,
Malik's time.
Yes, I'm just
okay,
asking.
when she's finished,
So we're
I would like
asking-
to comment on it
All
then.
right, so right now.
She's asking for feedback.
No,
No,
I'm
she
just
hasn't-
asking for consensus, not feedback.
So we have
Okay.
4 that are for,
Definitely not.
and
Okay.
Mr. McBoy is definitely not.
And I would like to
Favor of that
comment.
policy.
Okay,
No,
Okay,
no,
so-
your time is done.
Mr. Perry, you have 4-1 consenting for whatever we need to do to look at the parameters of it. And thank you for coming to the ribbon cutting, Madam Mayor, today,
Yeah.
and Mimi for
I wanna
the
talk about
Habitat
that.
for, not Habitat, Adoptive Family. Thank you.
Thank you. I was gonna start with that. Ms. May, Ms. Malega and I were at Adopt a Family today. They had a ribbon cutting for their new playground. Adopt a Family, if you're unfamiliar with it, is an amazing program. And they get lots of support from very generous people. I was hoping that you'd be there, Mr. McCoy, it's your district. But it was great to see, once the speeches were over and it was like chaos. The kids ran to it was amazing. And it's just such a great program. So thank you for bringing that up. I want to thank County Administrator, Mr. Abruzzo, for changing his mind on the funding. I don't know quite how that happened, but I'm grateful that it did. I sent out an email to you guys I think today or yesterday. I've been on vacation for weeks. I just came back this afternoon. I'm a little still on vacation. It was fun. It was great. We have the workshop coming up, and every time we took code is such a touchy subject and such a complicated subject. So I thought it might be helpful. Maybe you're doing this with your one-on-ones anyway. Of 3 things like that are, what do you feel are the 3 most important issues? And then also, what expectations do we have from this meeting, the workshop? Because we're planning especially, the workshop, the public can't speak, but we're going to have a workshop of a special meeting on it soon where people can speak. I'm getting input from some business owners myself. I know Mr. Segrich is. So if you don't do it, fine, but it might be helpful to have Mr. Perry have some guidance from us about what's my expectation besides it, people complaining, but it's going to be just us. There's no public comment. So I'd like to be more organized than just sort of this scattershot of what's wrong with code. And when I was at IEMO last week, we talked a lot about the strategic plans, and I don't know if we do this, Mr. Perry, as a habit. I just don't remember. When we pass an ordinance or when we do something, the theory is that we should be doing it, this ordinance promotes this pillar of the strategic plan. And I don't know I think we do it sometimes, but I don't know that we always do it. But I think it would be good practice for us to say, okay, we're going to look at the strategic plan again, but to really make it something of a useful working document rather than just, this is an idea we had a couple of years ago and it's a pamphlet and now so I'd like to really work on the structuring things around the strategic plan because we do have one. So
Madam Mayor, in the process of putting together the 2026 budget,
right,
we required the department directors when they were asking for additional items to make sure it falls
is
back
in
to the
there.
pillar.
That's where I've seen
So
it.
that's where, that's how we use
So
it.
when we do it, I would like to be more consistent addressing of the strategic plan.
Okay.
So so the public also knows that we have a plan and we're working towards it.
Sounds
Because
good.
sometimes things seem a little random.
Okay.
Let's see, what else do I have? That's pretty much it. For now, that's all I can think about. So, is Mr. Perry?
Nothing tonight. All my concerns have been addressed.
All right. What a team. What a team. Madam Attorney.
Thank you. I have a few things tonight. First, the city attorney desires advice from the commission concerning pending litigation, specifically regarding settlement negotiations and strategy related to litigation expenditures in the case of City of Lake Worth Beach versus Bell South Telecommunications, LLC, DBA, AT&T Florida, Blue Street, LLC, Web, Horizontal Drilling, LLC, and USIC Locating Services, LLC. Case number 50/2025 CA 011813 triple X AMB, and is requesting an attorney-client session to be scheduled for May 19th, 2026 at 5 p.m. The estimated length of the attorney-client session will be approximately 45 minutes. This session will be attended by the members of the city, Mayor Betty Resch, Vice Mayor Mimi May, Commissioners Christopher McCoy, Sarah Malega, and Anthony Segrich, Interim City Manager Troy Perry, City Attorney Glenn Torsivia, and outside counsel Stephen Cohen. A certified court reporter will be present to ensure that the session is fully transcribed, and the transcript will be made public upon the conclusion of the above cited ongoing litigation.
Madam Mayor, I have a question, because I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV.
So do.
How are we keeping track of the legal fees that are associated with this? Because I do believe that when we said we were going after this, that we were going after the legal fee reimbursement as well.
Correct. Your outside counsel does invoice their fees, and so far this is the only case they've been working on for the city, and we have a separate invoice for this case as well.
Will that be part of, can we have that part of that discussion on that closed door session? If we can have those bills and we can see where we're at in regards to the outside counsel? Just more for education purposes.
Absolutely.
Because it's been a year. Not that it's gonna have any swaying on if I say to drop the case for $15 million or not. But I'd just like to know where we are with the financial obligation on our part.
The city attorney also desires advice from the commission concerning pending litigation, specifically regarding settlement negotiations and strategy related to litigation expenditures in the case of Kinsale Insurance Company versus Hoab Horizontal Drilling LLC, Blue Street LLC, and City of Lake Worth Beach. Case number 926 CV 80476. XXXX, and is requesting an attorney-client session to be scheduled for May 19th, 2026 at 5:45 p.m. The estimated length of the attorney-client session will be approximately 15 minutes. The session will be attended by members of the city, Mayor Betty Resch, Vice Mayor Mimi May, Commissioners Christopher McCoy, Sarah Malega, and Anthony Segrich, Interim City Manager Troy Perry, City Attorney Glenn Torsivia, and outside counsel Stephen Cohen. A certified court reporter will be present to ensure that the session is fully transcribed, and the transcript will be made public upon the conclusion of the above cited ongoing litigation. Yeah. I also just wanted to mention, so that members of the public are aware, that I have communicated with all of you this week regarding new legislation that was signed just this in the past, I think, 2 weeks. April 22nd, I think, was when it was signed by the governor regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it prohibits a lot of actions and expenditures by local governments. There are 2 new sections in Florida statutes that are adopted under this legislation, one that applies to counties and one for municipalities. And so I'm going to be working with your leisure services department to look at all of the programming and activities and other things that the city's involved with and doing an analysis of how those will be impacted by this legislation. Correct. The prohibitions and regulations are effective January 1st, 2027.
And there are, Equity Equality Florida did have a call last month and said, do not change or repeal any policies that you have now because this is being challenged on many levels. So I hope that that's still our thought process.
my understanding is that there are no changes being made or proposed, just information in preparation for January and see what needs to happen at that time.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna need some guidance on that. And thank you for the letter. It was discouraging but informative.
I'm sorry, can people speak into their mics?
Sure, I need a motion to
Motion to
adjourn by
adjourn.
Mr. McBoy,
Second by Miss May.
by Miss May. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
9